Welcome to Planning Phase Syndicate, episode 64. Wow, can't believe we're at 64. This week, we're going to be talking a little bit about not list building, I'm just kidding, that was last week. Anyway, this week we're going to be talking a little bit about community building and leagues, and talking a little bit with Nick from 312 Squadron to say, hey, how do we build a online and in-person community? Kind of talk about the pros and cons of each, and is there a way to kind of balance both of those? We're also going to be talking about where we feel points should go. Given that we've had enough recent tournaments here, we should be able to make some sort of an adjustment. I think there's still some undiscovered stuff out there, but at the same token, what we wanted to do is talk a little bit about what we think some of the adjustments should be. With that being said, why don't I bring in my co-host for tonight, replacing Mr. JJ, as JJ is moving today. Welcome, Nick, to the show. How are you tonight?
Hey, man. Good. Thanks for having me. It's it's only been, was it a week? 2 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks,
Back
I think.
so soon.
Yeah. See, and you said before, hey, I never have you on. Now you definitely can't say that.
Well, you got to play on our stream, man.
I know. Except for you guys like those Friday nights. You guys like those Friday nights?
Well, that was the exception last week. It's usually Saturday nights, which is even worse. That's why we moved it. We moved it to Sunday afternoon because it was hell. It was hell for everybody.
Yeah, and Sunday afternoon, I get behind that. That's easy for me because Sundays are typically episode planning day and website stuff anyway. So to throw a couple games in there, heck, my kids and the wife went out tonight, and I literally did nothing but make salsa, and I made some kanji. I think that's how you say that. So basically, it's like a report.
Day well spent.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I thought. So with that being said, welcome to the show, Nick. Tell everybody where you're from in case they don't know who the hell you are.
Sure. I'm from Chicago. It's the Chicago flag. I'm in Chicago. I've got everything Chicago right now, even a Cubs Millennium Falcon shirt, which is just so fitting for everything that is me in the stream and being here. So we stream on 312 Squadron. We have a Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. And you will find us usually streaming on the weekends. It's going to be Friday nights and Sundays starting on the 4th.
Yeah.
Of the 4th. So
they picked it specifically so that you could just kind of raid my show afterwards.
It goes from Exile to 312 to the planning phase. Man, raiding, I need a sticky note plaster that is the center of my monitor to remind me to raid, because it's a really easy thing to forget. And I'm sure people will think like, well, why the hell didn't you raid me? And it's like, because I forgot to raid.
See, we had the exact same issue, especially when we were streaming XCC games. It was always like, oh, what the hell do you do? What do you like? Oh shit, we could just hit raid. And then you would just completely forget about it. Yeah, every time.
Easy to forget.
So let's begin a little bit. So before we get into it, I'm going to transition, and we're going to just kind of look a little bit at. So Isoplane has an initiative out there. We covered it last week on the show. If you watched it, you'll see it there as well. But there is the Isoplane Initiative to kind of help people get to Worlds. There is a form inside of this document that you should fill out if you want to recommend somebody, or if you would like to recommend yourself to go. Obviously, he will be specifically picking people that already have Worlds tickets. I don't have mine, so I don't think Nick got his either at Gen Con. So none of us have Worlds tickets as of now. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention it. The link is going to be in our chat for the rest of the year. It'll just be something that you'll be able to do. And if you, like I said, if you want to kind of go about that, you're welcome to recommend people. So anyway,
yeah, super awesome initiative that he's doing. It's really cool.
Yeah, and we were excited. It's kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, let's give other people an opportunity. And we have like a guy at our local that has worked very hard, who doesn't have a Worlds invite. So hopefully he hits one of those tournaments up to get a Worlds invite so that we can recommend him going. Though I did hear something through the rumor mill, Nick. I don't know if you had heard the same thing, but I heard the World invites are only going to be used to give people buys.
I haven't heard that one actually.
Okay.
There isn't even really certainty around if there's going to be like a last chance qualifier before Worlds as well, which was something that they tried to do at the end of the last Worlds in 2019, all the way back in 2019 in the 2.0 days. So yeah, I think we're all kind of awaiting a lot of clarity on exactly what the plan is, because unfortunately there really aren't that many people with like that would play. If we took all the people that have worlds invites, it'd be pretty small events overall. You could do it in one day. So I think that hopefully they've added so many more events to try to get more people to go to worlds, and this ties in well with what Isophane's trying to do as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I just think that I think that that's one of the interesting things. Like I said, because that was a complaint of mine, right? You know, like one of the big complaints I had was that we were not going to get enough people to go. But if the rumor is true, and maybe it's just a Reddit thing, I spend I think too much time on Reddit.
It's easy to do.
So if it's just a Reddit thing, then I guess we'll see where it goes. Hopefully it's not, and hopefully it is something that will be important going forward.
Yeah, yeah. I'm actually going to the Golden State Games Worlds qualifier. That's right outside of my hometown, which is nice. I get to see my family, but I'm gonna try to get one there, and who knows? Try to go to as many of these events as I can. I'm sure everyone else will do the same because it's crunch time, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing is I was trying to talk the wife and letting me go to that as well. And come to find out, I guess that's the weekend before my sister's wedding. So I have a pretty confident feeling I'm not gonna get allowed to go to California for before the wedding. I'm gonna get stuck doing wedding stuff. You know how that is. Well,
Yeah,
maybe.
well, I don't. I'm single, so I allow myself to go, and that's ultimately the only arbiter of that is my wallet.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, see, I don't have. Well, I've been married once and I'm divorced now, and I have a relationship, but we've never been remarried. So it's just kind of like one of those things where it's like, I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't like
it's
weddings.
touchy.
I hate weddings personally. I think they're boring. They're expensive, and when they're family, it costs me a fortune every time.
Oh, don't get me started. Another time.
All right. Anyway, so enough of wedding talk and all this other fancy jazz. Let's talk about cards that we want to see possibly go up, possibly not go up, come down. Let's kind of start there, and I have B wings up, but we don't really have to talk about B wings. That's not the intent. Is I just wanted to test it. I forgot to clear my cache. So Nick, we've seen a lot of Vader, and I'm going to pick on Vader to begin with because I think Vader's a good starting point. A lot of people talk about, like what is Defender Vader came down to 9 points. Why does that have to happen, right? And everybody wants to see Vader Defender that I know go up.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what it feels like. So what are your thoughts? I guess let's start with the Vaders. Because those two were specifically hit to come down in points in the last update.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts?
The most interesting thing about Empire in general is how they kind of have become the rebels of 2.5, original release, and that have slot-ins, a lot of 2-point cheap efficient ships that you can choose from. And on the high end, the aces like Vader, either X1 or Defender Vader. I honestly think Vader at 9 points. I go back and forth on this. I'm kind of a fence sitter. I kind of still hate the fact that he's in the game. However, I think he's made a lot stronger by just his loadout and the slots that he's given. So I think if we were to be pro keeping him at 9 points, which I'm not saying that I am, but if we were to be in that camp, he would have to lose the talent slot. Don't give him juke. And his loadout points would have to drop so that all he could really take would be like Malice and maybe one other upgrade. And even then, he's still incredibly powerful. So I going up to 10, I think it would be more realistic, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went back up one more point, back up to 10. That's my take on him.
So quick question then, and I think because when he was 11, we were not seeing him ran very much, right?
Yeah.
And going up to 10 and keeping the same loadout could be a good fair change. If they don't touch TIE fighters, you could still fit 5 TIE fighters with him. You just lose the 1 TIE fighter that you could have, or you lose the Iden TIE fighter, which is what I always just like to say. You just lose Iden. Even though, in fairness, Iden is powerful, but Iden only works if you're by her. and Vader Defender is never by her. So to me, it's kind of, that's not like, to me that's not the big thing here. Now,
I don't think Iden works with Vader, right? Isn't Iden just
oh, that's
TIE
right. It's just
LNs?
you're right. It's TIE Fight. Yep, you're right. Huh.
Yeah, but still, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think in a world where Vader's becomes 10 points, the Jingoists and Wampa will be 3. So, or at least one of those two, maybe even restricted to just one Jingoist. But we might start to see the restricted list be utilized here soon to try to tinker with that because nothing is on there right now.
Yeah, and see that's where I wanted to. That's where I think this conversation can go. Right. So we have 2 Vaders, and I brought Iden up. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Vader Defender, though, in my opinion, because Vader Defender has not actually won anything, I do not feel actually Vader Defender is a problem. I will say giving him the talent slot to allow him to take Juke is a negative play experience personally.
It's too easy.
Yeah, and I don't mind defenders having Juke to some extent. Like I had to fight it again when I played Bulby Eamon. To me, it was not the end of the world. It's just the Vader makes it feel even worse because he's able to convert blanks to crits and hits and all these fancy things, and then he could tell you, well, you're gonna get 1 less other dice. If people really want to get fancy, they could put outmaneuver on him because he has enough squad load points, I believe, to put outmaneuver. Nobody's done that, but you could.
It's hard to. He's always trading shots, right? At least with one other ship. I don't. Getting behind, like your opponent allowing you to get behind them with Vader Defender is rare. It's not supposed to happen. Like maybe for a turn, but
yeah,
you're usually facing off, or he's just running away and coming back in.
So I think the safe play is to just take that, like you said, take the talent slot away.
I think we could go and, I mean, even though we're going 1 by 1 here, we could make the argument for just maybe removing the talent slot from all Force users. I mean, for most, I would hope. As someone who plays Luke all the time, I find it kind of frustrating for my opponents when I get those 6 dice proton torpedoes. It's crazy. It's a lot.
And that was one of the additions that they made, and hence I don't know if they're going to want to roll that back for every one of them. Personally, and again, we got to think in AMG's world, would they want to do that? I don't know.
Well, then, and then we talk about price adjustments where trick shot goes up a point, and if they keep it, right, you go trick shot at 5, maybe shattering shot goes up to 4. Make people have to pick one or the other and start to use different upgrades because there's so many upgrades on certain pilots that will never get used because there's just an obvious choice right now.
Well, I think, and this is where we talk about the restricted list, right? And so you bring up the trick shot, shattering shot, a combo that I would wager that was missed by every one of the playtesters. And if you're a playtester and you want to come on the show and talk about this, I'm happy to have you on, but nobody wants to ever volunteer.
Are they allowed to talk about it? Because I signed an NDA when I play tested.
You do, but supposedly once they release that set, you could talk about it.
Sure. Okay.
So
it's
technically,
not very clear.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically afterwards, you could come on and have that conversation. Yeah. But to me, it was something that was obviously, to some extent, missed, or they found it and AMG didn't care. One of the two. We don't know which.
I'd like to address like what you said and also what Navi said about not winning a major event. I don't really like looking at it like that. I think if you see it make top 8, top 4 final table, I think that's enough to kind of analyze. There's factors that can cause a list like that to lose outside of it just being outside of it just being Vader Defender not being good enough or whatever. Like there's like if you watch the Gen Con final game, it was basically down to a scenario point. So
the question then becomes and that's fine. And Nick, I don't disagree to some extent. I don't disagree with you on that, except for, is it all the Vader in the list, or is it because you get 5 ties? And one of the ties can say, screw you. The other 2 ties can say, have a strain every time. I don't think that anything that hits top cut is beyond a conversation piece. Because to be honest, Vader Defender has easily made top cut in pretty much all of the tournaments since they dropped to 9 points. At least one of those lists. And
it's worth talking about that fact alone, is worth mentioning, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's just It's always fascinating having this conversation about Vader. I will say, like on the other side, I think X1 Vader has always been one of the best designs and more balanced high initiative force users in the game, despite the ability being so strong because he can't evade. He can just take damage, and seven
He
points
can
is still
now.
pricey. Um, Vader, what, like debris gambit or something?
Yeah,
Yeah, well, are we seeing that a lot? Is that a combination on X1 Vaders?
that was
Yeah,
Gen
that's
Con. That was Gen Con staple, baby.
oh, really? That's interesting. I didn't run into that personally, but I also you have to fly him very specifically, I guess, to take advantage of that. So,
You do.
um,
Yep.
but on average, Vader X1 is not taking that kind of defensive or double token stacking abilities like Vader Defender is. I've always preferred the X1 Vader, anyways. So, I like him at 7. I think 8 he doesn't get played anymore. It's kind of tricky. So,
Yeah. I'd agree. So, all right. So I think we're in the same camp of removing the talent slot at minimum from Vader Defender. Like I think I think you're right that at minimum that needs to happen. And I agree. I think you can lower some of that loadout points. You know,
yeah.
maybe give them 9 loadout points.
The way
Drop it
I
down to 9.
the way I see it is a ship that already has basically a guaranteed 3 hits, doesn't need the help. It just ships like that, pilots like that really, they don't need the help. They just
And I
don't.
think it would be interesting too, yeah, Nick. What if they started creating kind of like what they did with the Delta 7Bs and the CLT Deltas, right? Where you have different loadout costs. What if you said, "Hey, Vader Defender with 0 loadout costs is 9 points. You get no loadout costs, or give them 3, maybe give them like a very small amount. How about nothing? Let's just give them nothing. There you
Yeah.
go. Let's just say
No,
9
he shouldn't
points.
have
You get
anything.
nothing."
Yeah, absolutely. Dude,
And
you could still win an event without I mean, he's got everything on his card. The pilot card gives him access to so many tools that a lot of other pilots wish they had. So yeah, no loadout points at 9 would be interesting. I would be willing to see how a couple months of that goes, but it's not a bad idea.
yep. And I agree with you. I don't think Vader X1 really needs much. I will say it is the pattern analyzer is very weird. Having a
To
Vader
chain
that
it,
can do
right?
that, yeah, because
Yeah,
it just chains
he
everything.
just
Still,
chains everything still. Yeah, yeah,
I'm still a proponent of maybe dropping the talent, and maybe it goes back to the argument. Maybe all Force users just shouldn't have talent. It's weird though. I'll be honest with you. It's weird, and this is the problem with this game, I think. But it's weird that you have a Force user that's not got a talent slot because the majority of your Force users are 4 through 6 initiative, right? So, and most 4 through 6 initiative get 1 talent slot. Majority of them.
yeah,
So it's a hard I think that's a harder sell for me to get rid of all of them. I think maybe you nuke it on specific ships, especially since that's AMG's thing now, right? Let's give
yeah,
uniqueness.
yeah. I don't think Ahsoka Tano, not taking elusive away from her, whatever talent she wants to take, is really like I don't think
Yeah,
that's warranted. But
yeah. They already took Chopper away from her, so and that wasn't even needed. At that point, that
yeah,
would
well,
simply.
I'm about A-wing Ahsoka, I guess, in my
Oh
head.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. Either Ahsoka.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about TIE fighters. I guess do we just go faction by faction? Is that what we do? Maybe that's what we
We can
do.
quickly go over the factions.
All right.
Yeah,
So Iden's to me, Iden's an easy 4. I think Iden goes up to 4. Give her some more loadout points and move on. Like
so she goes up to the same price as Hell Runner, right? Because Hell Runner's
yes,
4 right now.
yep. And I
Okay.
think Hollow Runner should stay at 4. Just personally, if we start seeing Hollow Runner come down too far, we will all be eating a million TIE fighters like all over the place.
Yeah,
Like if
yeah.
especially if we do something later, and leave the ties cheap, we'll see tie swarms with Hollow Runner.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I ran into a Rexler Brat TIE Swarm Hell Runner. Like, it was interesting. She's good. Yeah. I didn't. I also think like giving her access to like Tractor Beam or HLC was a choice. I witnessed on our stream the other night how strong Iden with Tractor Beam is, and that scares me a little bit. The premise of her being able to tractor anybody in a turn, and then the TIE's just feasting on one ship and killing it immediately. Do I think she should lose that? Not necessarily, but I'm also not sure that she should be 4 points. I mean, they clearly made her 3 that because they wanted her to get played. Um, at 4, let's just assume that if she goes up, the Jingoists go up a point, Wampa goes up a point, right? Like a lot of these ties will get adjusted because there's just too many 2-point options. And um, I don't know. I would rather keep her at 3 and then maybe make her a little more dull.
Just
With the loadout.
let her be the ability only.
Yeah, or just give her, enough to, take a talent. She could take, 3 points or 4 points. She could take a targeting computer and elusive or something like that.
Yeah, so just take you could take the cannon and the missile slots
Yeah,
away.
because I know that a lot of people are like, "Oh, cannons aren't that good," but guys, tractor beam, one's good. It can be really, really good. So some things just get screwed by tractor beam. If you shoot a tractor beam into a T65, T70, there's a high chance you get it tractored. So
yeah, I would agree with you. So now we have an ISB. Oops, we have an ISB Jingoist. I think that's kind of the next easy kill. I don't think those are worth 2 points. I know why they wanted them, but an I4 at 2 points.
it strains people and like depletes them or whatever. Yeah.
Like even without, how about this? Even without like dealing with the points, like even if you gave them no loadout points, a 2.4 I4 is crazy to me. Like for what its ability does. So
yeah, I don't like using the word unfair very often, but I honestly think it's pretty just pretty unfair.
Yeah. So I feel those specifically need to go up. To be honest with you.
Yeah, make them 3. Absolutely. I would pay 3 points for those things. I would just have to, the end of the day, the goal for Empire players for me is to have to think about what kind of list they're building. Because I feel like they're brain dead decisions that are being made right now. There's like 3 different archetypes of a list that you just like it's just Wampa. Okay, do I X1 Vader? Do I go, Defender? Then that informs if you take a Reaper, it informs if you take another X1 or an Interceptor. Like it's pretty simple. So make people think about it a little bit, because contrary to AMG might think that list building should be guided. I think people should have to learn a little bit about the nuances of putting together a solid list.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So now that now that we've talked about things, is there anything else you feel in Empire that really needs a big points adjustment?
I've gotten some experience recently, just kind of casually. I was playing X1 Vader, Merrick, Jingoist Wampa, and Feroff, and a 4-point 4-point Reaper felt a little bizarre to me because it did a lot of work and support in that list, and then if it died, it didn't mean much. So I think they should take a look at the Reapers, and I would consider maybe bumping up, like keeping Vizier at 4, bumping Feroff up to 5, and giving more loadout points. That's probably the only other thing. It's the Reapers have gotten a lot better with the errata to them as well. So
yeah, and maybe taking if they don't want to bump them up in points, taking loadout away to the point where they can't take a Force user at all.
Yeah, because I just put 7 Sister on Feroff, and then anytime anybody gets close, I just tractor them, and I can coordinate during my action step, and yeah, it's really, really good for 4 points. Like, yeesh.
Yeah, no. I know. Trust me. That was my second loss at Gen Con was somebody. I didn't know that. I'd never seen Seven Sister. I just thought it was a Force point. My bad for not reading the damn card. But here comes Kanan. Oh, just gonna take a rotate focus for stress. And oh, by the way, he remembers the trigger. And we're gonna tractor Kanan. So Kanan now gets 1 green dice. And then I'm going to give 3 ties to eat Kanan alive. And I literally lost a full health Kanan to 3 ties because of Tractor.
Tractor is still feels bad. I mean, I'm glad they took away the option to throw people on rocks, because it alone is still so strong. And that permanent -1 agility is spicy. Feels really bad. It feels so bad when it happens to you. It's rough.
So now let's talk a little bit for Empire. I guess I don't know. Maybe I like the idea of sticking with the one faction. I guess it feels easier to me.
Sure.
So let's talk a little bit about like ships that we feel either got over nerfed or feel that we could increase something or change something on them to make them feel better to be taken over other ships. And this is a prime example of when I say, hey, if Iden kept the same loadout and goes up to 4 points, are you going to choose Iden over an Inquisitor that's an I3 with 5 loadout points? Probably not. I'm not going to, because Iden negates a death. Iden is a get out of jail free card
Oh yeah,
for ties.
it's very much a counter to Alpha Strike lists as well.
Yes, and I don't feel I want to see that go away, but at the same token, when I see something like an Inquisitor here, and I go, Inquisitors have 4 health, you can't take a hull upgrade anymore. So even if you gave them 8 loadout points, are you really going to put a shield upgrade on them if you can do other things? Probably not. I mean, I guess with the only slots being Force and Sensor, like you ain't doing much. So if you gave me 8 points, I sure as hell am going to put a shield upgrade. But to me, I think these Inquisitors, if you gave them a little bit more loadout and a few other options, maybe not a missile slot. Maybe we want to stay away from missile slots. I would actually think I actually feel these would be something we would see in them again, especially at 4 points. They're a tankier TIE fighter.
Yeah.
That's
Are they going to do damage though? Right, is the question.
Yes. Well, you're right.
Yeah, because it's just a damage race. It's where we've gotten. So the TIE fighters obviously are 2 dice guns, but it's just the statistical probability of you dealing damage goes up so much the more of them you have, right? Accompanied by a guaranteed damage dealer like Vader. Yeah, the Inquisitors, I haven't really thought about them. I want to take a look at the Grand Inquisitor, because again, like I think they're going to want to. The Grand Inquisitor is 6. He should totally not be 6, honestly. I feel like he could maybe be 5. But if they do that, they have to be very careful about what else they nerf to make him not be an easy slot in. I feel the same way about Interceptors. If we're having this, if we're going to look at the Inquisitors this way.
Mm-hmm.
Soontir Fel is just kind of not really strong in the newer version of the game. I don't know if that warrants him going to 5 points because of his ability in I6 and double reposition is just kind of, But hey, if Obi-Wan Kenobi can be 5 points, then why the hell can't Soontir Fel be 5 points? I don't know if that's too far off.
Yeah, and in fairness, he doesn't have a force 3 force to back him up. So
and an ability that keeps focus tokens around and yeah. So
yeah, I would agree. I would like to see Soontir come down. I think if you drop Soontir a point down, he becomes almost an auto include. I'll be honest, I would take Soontir over any of those Reapers any day of the week, personally. And it's a play style thing, I think, because Soontir and Grievous are somewhat similar in their AC effects, and I like Soontir, and I've always kind of flown Soontir. Not to very good effect.
Me too.
But
me too. Yeah. It's if you learn how to fly Soontir well, then you've learned a lot about flying an X-wing and how to be a good pilot. It's a great challenge. I want to see that come back a little bit. Even like talking to Duncan's like, I'm not playing Empire because I hate their faction identity right now. And if those of you guys that know Duncan, you know that he loves to play. So he's a Soontir Fel guy. That's his ship. That's his pilot. So, him saying that really kind of resonated with me. It's like, yeah, it's kind of the way I see it too. The Empire has gotten it felt like more like separatists with these like mini swarms than what I'm used to. So,
all right. So let's talk about gauntlets a little bit in Empire. Gar is 8 and has 18 loadout and is an I3. Pre-Vizsla in Separatist has 18 loadout and is 7 points. I think I see Gar coming down. Personally.
Yeah, okay? Do you think the gauntlet is like good enough? Because even though we saw somebody make top cut at Gen Con with it, which bravo, I don't remember their name, but bravo, because for real, it's an exciting, cool looking ship, but I don't know why. It just seems like everybody just sleeps on it or just doesn't care enough to play it. Why? Is it bad?
Yeah, in mine, it's kind of bad. And I think some of us aren't used to flying large bases as well, right? So, like, if you think about 2.0 and unless you played extended, you didn't fly in large base ships unless you were like a Scud player, right? Most people were not flying large base ships. I don't think the gauntlet's bad, personally. I think not having dual actions sometimes is kind of bad. And I think they're such an easy target to burn down. It's not even funny, right? And so I'll pick on JJ a little bit because he's not here. We've been flying a pre-Vizsla, 4 droids and Grievously. That's just kind of been I'm a separatist guy, right? And so like for me, the droids and pre-Vizsla just kind of feels thematic, right? Um, I get to get 4 droids on the table, which is nice. And I get a big gauntlet ship, which is news to, like that's better than a Sith infiltrator. We'll just put it that way. Like, so the gauntlets to some extent are pretty bad though. Like, because you can't take the target lock and a focus. You just can't do it. Like, and then you have to add all these upgrades to do these things.
Because you can't take a target lock and a focus. It's like, man, this shouldn't be able to. A lot of ships shouldn't be able to take a target lock and a focus at the same time.
No, you're right. But these ones, it's really bad because if you take the target lock, you die. Like, you're gone. Even with the 2 green dice. Unless you're...
Seal dilemma.
Yeah. It's really... This one is... I think these ones get burned down so fast, though. And maybe it's the
shield to hull ratio.
Yeah.
If it had 3 shields and like 8 hull, it would be a different conversation, right? Like another reason why what's it called? The Lancer class shuttle or patrol craft, whatever we call it, Ketsu's ship, 2 shields and 8 hull. I mean, it's just a crit sponge. It's the shields go down in 1 shot. Maybe you even took a damage card and like we're off to the races. How many crits can this thing take? Before the damage deck is exhausted. I think that it's just a really juicy target in a meta that is proton torpedo heavy laser cannon heavy, trick shot, shattering shot heavy, just all these ways to sink in more damage, and malice heavy. Like the gauntlet, I think, is more so a victim of the times and the current like game than it is like it's just still the dial is pretty decent. The ability to kind of stop and rotate or stop, and it's not. I wouldn't say it's like bad, but I just think it's just not good enough. It's just like the A-wings; they're not good enough. They don't deal enough damage. They can die too easily for their cost. And especially with an 8-point investment. Like there are very few ships I'm willing to spend 8+ points on, and I definitely wouldn't spend it on a gauntlet.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in the same boat. In Republic, you could take C3PO, Bo-Katan, right? And so you get your once you calculate, you get your rerolls, but you're locked into calculating for your action. And again, I think like with this one, the reinforced being red also is just such a feels bad for this ship, right? I think if you make the reinforced white, redistribute some of the shields, this ship sees play. Even because everybody was worried because 2 agility, oh my god, the big ship with 2 agility. Well, I will tell you, in 3 turns, you can burn a gauntlet down. No questions asked. Just
and you'll win the game
gone.
if you do that.
Yeah.
And I3 too. So another thing, same issue I had with Kanan was that the initiatives are 4, 5, 6s and almost only 4, 5s and 6s right now. And so you just get initiative killed too. It just super feels bad when you spend that many points on a pilot. You could get Han for 8 points in a different faction, I know, obviously, but or Gar Saxon at I3, you could just get his initiative killed, and you feel like you didn't get that value. What about Captain Hark, man? What does he even do? As you reveal a stop maneuver, if you are equipped with swivel wing down, you must execute a 1-speed bank side slip maneuver of the same difficulty instead. Yeah, I don't. I could.
It's worthless. I'll tell you. I tried.
You're gonna be in the weeds. It's gonna be hard to be able to execute those.
It was fun. How about this? It was fun for the 1 game I played with it because it turned into like kind of a mini HP, like once a game.
Mini large, very large mini HMP.
Yep. But I'll tell you what. The second time I did it and hit a rock with it, I got super pissed and just like that, and that was the end of that. That was the end of that shit. Oh, there's 2 damage. Oh, now I'm at half points, and 2 shots, boom, it's dead. And there goes 7 points.
Yeah, not be mentioning salvage mission. These things needing to pick up salvage is rough.
Yeah, because they just can't keep anything. Like especially because everybody can shoot him, right? Everybody can hit them. They're so easy to hit. And and you can get bullseyes on these things like nobody's business.
Yeah, it's so easy to do. Yeah, Poe would have a field day with Captain Hark
Yeah.
or Gar Saxon, either of them.
And I just go back to, if we look at Bosk, Bosk is a great, 7-point, 1 agility party bus type thing. You can run Bosk and it feels okay. I think gauntlets, to me, and this is just me, and I would like to see it figured out how they could pip it so you can never take more than 2 gauntlets in a list. But I think they should come down in points by 1 point each. And then you just can no longer have more than 2. You just there should just be, there is never an ability to take 3 gauntlets in a list.
So you're saying your proposal is to make Gar Saxon, Captain Hark. We're talking about Empire still, right? Not just all the gauntlets.
Yeah.
Making them 6 points.
I would make Gar 7 and Hark 6. Yeah.
Oh, 6-point gauntlet, man. That's pretty good.
That's what I would say.
Wow.
Then when you lose it at 3, you're not feeling as bad though. And I know our game suffers because of the points, the inability to have quarter and half points, right? I understand that, but we're stuck here, right? So we're kind of stuck in that meta, and we could spend an hour harping on that. And to me, it would be smarter to move to 100 points again at least, and allow us to go back to a normal life. But that's not going to be reality. We're never going to see that change. AMG's never going to admit that piece of it. So we have what we have, I guess.
Yeah. The thing that helps a ship like the Gauntlet is if your opponent opts to not go all in on it early, it's kind of worthless shooting at it in the end game, because it's just, unless it's chance, you're not going to get anything out of shooting at it, unless you're knocking off a salvage. That could be it. But ideally, you have other ships that are taking it in that list. That's a whole nother, ballpark and different league of their own when it comes to talking about the current state of the game. Just shooting at stuff that has a lot of health or that's hard to kill in scenarios where you don't get rewarded for shooting at it until you shoot at it so many times so effectively you can kill it.
Yeah. Nope. And I think that's where we talk about when we talk about points, I think that's something that can be discussed, right? What if I pit the gauntlet so you can only take 1 gauntlet, lower their points? You can no longer just beef your list out. Because I think that's another issue you have in Rebel, for example. Rebel's a big one that you have that issue in, right? If you just beef out, what are you going to do? I don't know.
I think it's harder now for Rebels to totally beef out, because of the Rebels are just leaning more heavily into just damage, 4 ship lists just with protons and Colby and coordinating, but not really that beefy anymore. I mean, whereas before you had B-Wing, 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 Arc 170, A-Wing, right? Or something along those lines. Boy. But yes, the sentiment I agree with, for sure.
All right. So why don't we talk Rebels then? I guess we'll transition into Rebels.
Okay.
We'll start on the what needs point increases.
All right. Okay. Point increases. Can you? Oh, that's right. Yeah. Never mind. Stupid. Okay. So point increases. I'm really hesitant. So remember when Luke used to be 7 points?
Yep.
And he saw a little bit of play, but kind of not a lot, right? It wasn't. There were lists that featured him, but most lists opted to go with 5 or 6 ships, and he couldn't never in any world fit in those lists. He went down to 6, the same as Wedge. I've never agreed that they're both at the same value, even though in this kind of new world of the economy of X-Wing, it kind of makes sense the way they decided to price them. However, if they decide to keep Trick Shot, Shattering Shot, all the things that Luke takes advantage of the exact same, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not necessarily advocating for it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they bumped his load up points back up a few and shot him back up to 7. He's a problem, but he with all of his tools, he can be.
Yeah. And if it goes back, do we the talent slot, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the talent slot. And again, that's the sad thing. Luke deserves a talent slot. There's things that he deserves.
Yeah.
And maybe at 6, you get rid of 22 points. And you say, I know you want to be thematic, but Vader is 7 points. So either you, and maybe this is where we talk about moving Rebel down and making a few cheaper options to run with Luke,
Yeah.
right? Like, and I think A-Wings, like when people were talking about 6 A-Wing meta, right? You know, like everybody was like 6 A-Wing meta that's going to break everything. It didn't. It didn't at all. I think
Can't do
that,
damage.
yeah, like you could take crates, but now with that you can't boost or do any of these other things with them, right? They're not as powerful, right? So I think you could. I think if we keep Luke the same, to me, I think you bring Luke's loadout down. I think that's what you do just to begin with. Is let's bring Luke's loadout down so that you
Mm-hmm.
make the choice between Wedge and Luke to some extent, right? So like, let him take proton torpedoes and a talent or force upgrade for 3 points and call it a day. You get 15 points. Still pretty nasty. Because you can still take shattering shot at 3 points right now, right? Or you could take crack shot, you know.
Yeah, I would. Let's see. So Wedge is 4 points less. I honestly would give Wedge. I would give both because they're being treated as equal right now, in the eyes of the meta. If they stay at 6 points each, then maybe Wedge gets 2 more points and Luke loses 2 points. And Wedge doesn't have access to the force talent, and I don't know if trick shot on Wedge is really worth it anyways. Like if you gave him 2 more points, you could entertain taking it, but I don't know if that's necessarily a thing that would work out. But it's just worth, like, the Rebel Alpha, those two with proton torpedoes and the ability to have double modded shots. It's so freaking strong, and I can speak from experience playing Luke. I've played with protons since day one of playing this game, but now being able to play both of them with all of those bells and whistles is kind of terrifying and fun. So fun at the same time. But yeah, I think, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if we went up to 7. And Navi mentioned the Battle of Yavin, Luke. I don't even know how to even analyze or talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous and quick builds, and I don't know, man. I just swear to God, if he can't be cheaper than the other version of Luke, like,
No one's gonna take him. I don't know. I don't know. You might take him. It's a free boost. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't either. When those come out and we could spend time playing with them, sure.
yeah,
Like
right.
I don't
Just
make.
hard to talk about him, right?
Yeah, like we'll have another points show in the end of October. It'll happen. You can come back on too, Nick. There you go. There's a new invite for you. So
Thanks.
we'll
the
have that
invites.
conversation. So.
Keeping on X-Wings, I think Colby Sperato could gain a couple loadout and go up to 5. Him with Notorious it at 4 points is just kind of too good.
At an I-4, yes.
Colby's slotted in too easily right now. Again, make people think about what they're putting in their lists. Have to decide. Make them have decisions. Yeah, so make him 5 points. Isn't Thane Kyrell 5 points? I just think they should be the same cost. Yeah, Thane's 5 with
Thane's
14
5.
loadout.
And I like Thane. I would probably take Colby in certain types of scenarios, depending what your list does, over Thane in other scenarios, right?
Yeah. Navi is just speaking my language tonight. I mean, we'll get to Notorious, but
we'll get to Notorious. Notorious is definitely going to go up in points. And again, this is where we talk restricted lists, right? Like, there's so many things you can do with restricted lists, and I am very pro restricted lists. Like, that was what we used in Destiny. That was my favorite. I mean, I will tell you, I actually went back and had to go, like, try to rebuild old Destiny lists because I was going to play Destiny at Gen Con until he decided I didn't care enough. And that was just the whole thing of it is that you don't ban it, you put it on so you can't take like Luke and Notorious in the same list. Boom, there you go. You solve a lot of problems. And yes, you will create unintended problems with it, but so be it.
It's kind of what we're dealing with. Still dealing with all the unintended results of shifting the game so heavily, so quickly, ironing it out slowly, but some of it's not going to be easy or possible to iron out. So, got to get as close as possible. You want to talk about the Z95s really quick?
Yes.
So
are you talking Kraken?
Well, so Aaron Kraken can't really take much right now with the loadout. 9 points. However, you should be priced at I5. I was going to have a conversation with a friend of mine. I play X-Wing, Manny, who's played on our streams before. The The only other I5 that I can think of that's 3 points is Contrail. I don't know if there is another I5 beyond that. If you correct me if I'm wrong, but um, there should be a little bit more of a price for a high initiative. And Aaron being able to give actions, it feels like a 4-pointer to me. And maybe he can take more loadout points, 3 or 4 more loadout points.
Yeah, I say bump him up to give him 15 loadout points. I'm okay with that.
Jeez.
Give him 15 because then he could take a proton torpedo too.
Oh man, but that's just encouraging the proton torpedo spam.
All right. We haven't gotten to what my recommendation for proton torpedoes are though.
Yeah, restrict them or something.
Yeah. Well, not just restrict them. I actually would pip them. Pip them at 1. Or
2. 2
nope.
and make them 13 points.
No, I say give them 1. Get 1.
Make them more expensive and make them 2.
What if
someone has hurt you deeply with proton torpedoes?
No, I say how about this? What if you pipped every missile? You can only take 1. Create a diverse meta. See? You guys just like all your like exact samey like solutions. Like at least AMG
exact samey.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Like I want to run 1 pilot with this and 1 pilot exactly the same. And like when we talk about like cookie cutter list building, like and when there's a reason why you run like I3 droids with your I3 bombers, even though the I3 bombers and separatists suck ass.
That's right. You're a separatist player. The proton torpedoes mean your ships get 1-shotted every time they get shot.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with 2 agility. And it doesn't matter if I'm on a rock if it's fucking Wedge. So
yeah, you're done.
Wedge comes in and it's like, well, I hope you shot your Discord missile. I don't take energy shells on them very often because when you 1-shot them, then I never get my energy shell off. It just doesn't exist.
The way I see it though, with Rebels now and me flying that 3-ship list, the proton torpedoes kind of try to compensate for the fact they just don't have as much going in terms of strength and numbers and overall efficiency. Once they fire the protons, it gets a lot harder, and dice or dice, so you can fail those volleys as well. So I think restricting them so that you couldn't have more than 2 torpedoes of any kind would be interesting. Like you can't even have, you can't have a list with a proton and 2 plasmas. You'd have to have, 2 max or even including advanced and ions, just try to take away some of the alpha, like the alpha spam. I wouldn't consider Luke and Wedge to be alpha spam. It definitely feels bad getting shot back to back by them, but they're not spamming anything. There's just 2 of them. So
yeah. And I think if you look at upgrades, it fixes some of that piece of it, right? Like I think that it fixes a few of those issues you run into, specifically with having things only have proton torpedoes. And I'm not opposed to proton torpedoes, just so you know, like they don't actually bother me as bad as like it's not on Tanner's go fuck yourself list. We'll just put it
I'm surprised to be honest, because I wouldn't blame you if you were like, yeah, fuck these things.
I don't like them, but compared to a lot of other things, they don't. Like I tech against. It's just you tech against them if that's what the meta is. I got a Shave Cloud, so
yeah. AMG clearly wants people to be taking proton torpedoes because these loadout point values are so high. It's like, well, that slots in the afterburners of the proton torpedoes. It's half of it, and you still got room for everything else. So,
yeah, but I agree. Let's bump Kraken up a bit.
Yeah, maybe Blount goes down in conjunction, back down to 2 with no loadout. I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that either. Actually, I like Blount, and Kraken. If it didn't have the give a free action, even if it's red, if it didn't have that piece of it, I think that I wouldn't care if he was 3 points.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's just really so good at 5 because you can take other 5 ships and call it a day.
Yeah.
So,
all right, moving on. You said.
Yeah, what other things bother you that you think need points adjustments in Rebels?
Stuff that should go down. I'd say I'm taking a look at, let's see what I would maybe consider having Fen be 5 points with like very little loadout. The Fang fighters just aren't built for the Rebel identity, and no matter what, if they're 5 or 6 points, even though he's I6, he's just not gonna. They're not gonna get great results. Now, I think if they want to get them played at all, that they'd be a little more aggressive with them and trying Fen at 5 points, And who's the other one? Bodica's the one that gets the double tap, right? Bodica's already 5 points as well. So
I say you bump Bodica's loadout out, but
yeah,
you want to hear a hot take?
go for it.
What if we lowered all Fang fighters a point in Rebel? What if you just lowered all of them except for whatever? I don't care about generics. Let's just move on from the generic. Do they even have generics? Oh, they have Clan Ren volunteers.
Yeah, which I think are still considered limited.
Yeah, they're still limited. So yeah, what if you lowered all of them 1 point?
I would keep Bodica at 5 just because you got a price for shooting multiple times, but I otherwise would think that would be pretty fair. Especially Dirk. After you fully execute a red maneuver, perform a red action, you may acquire a lock on enemy ship in your front arc. I mean, come on.
Nobody runs Dirk.
Yeah.
But I think if you move them down, and I say this because Fang fighters pop. Like, we know what they do. They don't live. I see them as is somewhat cannon fodder, and think that maybe we could just lower them a little bit. And then dare I say I don't know, like, I don't know what you do to B-Wings to make them better since they lost Trajectory Simulator. I don't know, but there's
the chassis struggles. I think the B-Wing is, an acquired taste, and when people can run them successfully, and it's very impressive, but they're tough. I just don't. You'd have to fundamentally change the ship, I think, It's not too much because they're priced okay. I mean, they're eight health. They have the ability to double tap. They have very efficient pilots with double mods, and I mean they'll try their best to kill something before they die. And if they don't, then it's just on the chassis and being too weak with the 1 agility, and at least it has those 4 shields to lean on. But the next thing I want to talk about, though, if you're cool with moving on to another ship, is the Hawk.
Yep, that same one I was going to do.
Yeah,
I'm already bringing it up.
6 points for Jan and Kyle and Rourke is intense. Like, that's pretty heavy duty, man. Like, they don't want them to get played when that's the idea that I get when I look at their cost. It's like, look, I get Jan. Jan is good because of her ability, but she also handicaps herself when she's taking the stress. And the Hawk can get one-shotted fairly easily, especially if a torpedo is getting shot at it,
So think of it this way.
5 points makes sense.
Think of it this way. In Scum, which is, they're basically the same ship, right? You can run the title on 1 ship, and that ship's 5 points. Nope, 2 ships. I apologize. There's 2 ships that are 5 points that you can run the title on. And I don't care if they want to leave Jan there, like leave Jan at the I-5 at 6 points, just so we don't have to deal with Jan right now. Fine, go ahead, be done with it.
Yeah, we're not ready to deal with it right now at that cost, at a lower.
I'm okay. Every other one of them, either if you're going to give them the title, move them to 5 points. If you take the title away, then move them to 4 points. Like, I actually would argue Kyle at 4 points without the title is I would take him.
Yeah. They do need the contrary to like Scum, they actually kind of really need Moldy Crow, I think. If you're gonna invest 5 points in one of those things, I love the Hawk, by the way, personally one of my favorites, but it's the same reason why I don't take like Dutch Vander, is that I feel like I'm kind of giving something up to my opponent somewhat easily, with the ship that is kind of an easier target. The Hawk isn't a maneuverable boost, but it has to get close enough to be able to use its ability for its, for Kyle pass tokens or for Jan to take stress.
Yeah.
So
I mean, for Christ's sake, Gamut is a 3-point Scum ship.
Yeah, I was playing him last night. Yeah, Gamut's great.
Like come on. Rebel is probably my least favorite faction. I'll just be frank here. But I don't feel at 6 points any of these are worth it. Like, you could take Wedge, or you could take Jan. Who are you gonna take?
That's a great way to put it, honestly.
No one in the right mind.
Obi-Wan is cheaper than these things. I'm gonna compare things to Obi-Wan so many times because when Duncan told me after I killed him that he was only worth 5 points, I almost had a panic attack.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you kidding me? He's only worth 5 points? He's the same price as your lat? So yes, no, the Obi-Wan should not be cheaper than the Hawks.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say, I don't think anything else stands out much. the Y-Wings and the RZ1s are just they're not equipped to win games in 2.6 or whatever 2.5 what we call it these days.
Whatever the hell it is, yeah.
Dutch at 4, is cheap, but he still feels too expensive because he's going to die immediately, like turn 2 or 3.
Yeah, I don't think Dutch is too cheap. Let's stay this.
He shouldn't be 3. That's the thing, though. This is the problem with where 200-point list building easily solved these issues, where you can make Dutch 2 points cheaper, or you can make him 8 points cheaper. Now, a 1 point in either direction is way too intense. It's like it's too competitive and unfair, or it's so unplayable. And so, yeah, you have to keep him at 4 and just maybe give him more loadout points. Like, let him take what can he take right now?
He could take. He has 12 points. He could take a proton speed.
You should be able to take a proton torpedo and like ion cannon turret. And honestly, you should also be able to take R3 astromech. Maybe enough for a dorsal R3 and protons.
Yeah. I think at 4 points, you give him 20 points of loadout and call it a day. Like I think that's a fair piece for him.
And you got to see that he's in a 2 shield, 6 hull, 1 agility chassis that is just so bad at maneuvering and is easy to kill. Like that's why you give him more loadout points.
Yeah,
you could encourage people to try him.
You could dump Dutch in 2 rounds if you know what you're doing.
For sure.
So
yeah,
he's I don't know.
The fact that actually, so one of the biggest reasons outside of him being easy to kill that I would never want to play him right now is that he can't even take a turret to cover his side. Like it's horrible. Or a droid. If you assuming we're taking proton torpedoes, they can't even take a droid.
If you take plasmas at 7, you get 5 points. That's it. You could take dorsal turret and R3. That's what you could take. You can have plasmas, dorsal turret, and R3.
Yeah, he kind of really wants the ion cannon turret because it's actually threatening. Dorsals are not threatening at all.
They're not, no. Or you could take Nora for 18 points at 5 loadout, and guess what she does? Every time you shoot at her, it's basically like a
But it's so bad in the Y-wing, right? Like it's sure she's adding an evade result, but like it's basically a reinforced for a ship that's dying already. Like
I know, I will tell you, I still think Nora in the Y-wing is actually pretty decent, but again, here we have a ship at 5 points with 18 loadout, right? That has a somewhat better ability than Dutch. Like Dutch's ability on that ship at 4 points is not worth it.
Would it be really, really bad idea if you drop Nora down to 4 and dropped your loadout points down?
No, I would take Nora. I still would take Nora. As long as I could take like an ion cannon turret and an astromech.
Make it less than Dutch.
Yeah.
Make her the same price. Yeah, just price them to encourage people to try them, right? Like try it out.
I would take Nora, and maybe that's the John piece of it that John plays with me all the time. So yeah. He likes Nora, so oops. Stupid Mike. All right. Let's move on to Scum. And so I'm just gonna be selfish and say that I think Kanan Jarrus should get the title. But that's it. Anyway, I'm just gonna move on from there because we know that that's probably an incorrect take. That's just me being selfish.
Yeah. Oh, I know what I'm going to say. And this is my number 1. I've been screaming it from the mountaintops. The Mandalorian goes down to 6. The Mandalorian goes down to 6. It has to happen.
Can Q9 go down to 5 then?
No, I think they should be the same price.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a good, decent enough ship for 5 points, but or for 6 points, but 7? Oh my God. That's rough, man. He's not that good. Like he's not that good. He's got to go down to 6. It's gonna happen. I'll put $1,000 on the line here if he doesn't go down.
All right. Well, I'm not gonna bet you $1,000 because I just paid for my son's school, so that's not gonna happen.
You guys clip this and we'll revisit it.
we can. I don't know. We can figure something out, but I'm not betting $1,000. I don't know. I don't disagree with you though. Like I don't know. I struggle though because when you talk about list building, you notice I'm probably not taking Q9 over Mando unless their loadout are the identical.
Well, his loadout could be slightly less than Q9's by like a couple points because again, his ability is good if you take Force, but he's built to take the child. But does he want the child, right? I mean, we all know this, right? But does he really want it? Because I mean, right now it's 7 points with the child in Merciless Pursuit. He's just such an easy fat target to get a ton of points from. At 6, it's a little less feels bad if he goes down as well. We had a stream where I forced one of our players to play Mando, And it was one of the saddest experiences because he just kind of felt like a turret, just sitting there, just taking damage and not doing anything. And I was like, wow, that's rough. 7 points, and he just couldn't do anything. Obviously, that's just like confirmation bias. It's just one game, but it's just it to me highlighted why maybe he's not very competitive, just because
I don't know. Yes and no. I mean, I don't know. Like, are you going to take him over a fire spray? Probably not. I don't know. How about this? I will tell you that a guy from our local, Brendan, has a pretty amazing build with Manaru, Mando, some stupid M3A that I hate that takes an ion cannon, and something else. And it worked pretty well. He went 3-0 and then lost his last 2 games, and he had Mando in that list. I think you have to be careful. I don't disagree though in Scum. Like, we just have to be careful because we don't want people running fire spray, Mando, and then like now we've got 5 points.
Yeah, but why not? Why didn't he fly Q9 if he's the same initiative, right? Like,
because Mando did more work with the loadout than Q9 did.
Okay.
Like if you give me a second, I can bring up his list real quick if you want to see it.
Well, like, curious, since you are kind of an avid Scum player, like, why don't what's the number one reason that you wouldn't take Mando as he is right now? Like, if you had to identify one.
So just so you know, I'm not an avid Scum player.
You were at Gen Con, I guess.
I was at Gen Con,
for a couple days.
I was for like 2 months. I started. The only reason is because when my buddy and I first played X-Wing, I started playing Empire and Scum because that's all we owned. we just owned those, and so I played Boba Eman for like 6 months because we owned Scum and Empire, and I got sick of getting beaten by 2 fire sprays at my buddy's house, so I got pissed off and learned how to play it just because that's what we had. The reason I don't take Mando is because I feel he dies if you focus fire on him. And I feel you have to take the child. Like, I feel like it is a no questions asked. You will take the child if you do that. So his build was Marksman, Ship Fearless, the Child, L37, Jamming Beam, BT1, Contraband, and then the title. And then he was hiding, whatever else. Typically FTC, if we're going to be honest. Sometimes overtuned. But typically it was FTC.
Sir Dunkirk, I literally don't take Mando right now because he's 1 point more than Q9. I mean, exactly. Just make up 6 points.
Yeah.
It is sad that he is the star of that expansion, the star of the show, big franchise face, and he's like, it's weird to see them being so conservative with him that he just doesn't. I'm not gonna say he doesn't get played, but competitively, I could almost say that he's just like.
All right, so hey, I'll tell you what, that's fine. I agree with you. You won me over. Let's move Mando to 6.
Okay.
That works.
Shut the fuck up on mine.
There we go. Let's move Mando to 6.
Moving on. 20-minute discussion about the Mandalorian.
I mean, I agree. I don't disagree. I think Mando. I would like to play Mando more, and I'll tell you what. I tried to make Mando work more times than you can effing imagine. I think if we look at the Rogue class starfighter, I think Namlam should go down to Namlam and Victor Hell should go down to 4 points.
Are people playing anybody else?
But Cad? No.
For either faction. Are the Magna Guard guys? You're playing the Magna Guards?
Yep.
Good for you.
But we don't know how good they are. I've won two games out of 2 games that I played, but I've only played 2 games with them. So
yeah.
But yes,
it's an uninspiring stat line for that cost for the other pilots.
Yeah.
It's like,
I will tell you, running Grievous behind, you take outmaneuver off of Grievous, but you run Grievous behind 2 of those things, and Grievous gets to roll 4 green dice is pretty fucking amazing. I will tell you, it's pretty fun.
Grievous is always a good time, man.
And it's weird to run him like in that same vicinity. You can see my hand. Boop, boop. Anyway, we're not talking about Separatists yet. I think Namlam should come down to 4 points and lose some of its loadout. And I think Victor Hell should come down to 4 points. And I think we'd see more play. I think Cad Bane, if you bring him down to 4, it just becomes an auto include, and he outlasts some of the M3As, which is the next one I would say is, can we relook at M3As again? And can I get a few M3As that are 2 points, please?
At 2? Oh boy.
Just a
I was
few.
I was playing what was it last night? I played Boba, Genesis, Sirisu, and Gamut. When they both of the M3As have proton torpedoes, it's it's something.
Well, if you lower them to 2 points, you can't give them protons.
Why not? Yeah, well,
No, 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 no.
well, let's just have games where there's 10 proton torpedoes on the board.
We
Um,
we could, and can we get a condition card that says everybody's the same initiative for this round? So can I divert for a second? Can I just divert? Because that's what this one. I'm a tangent. If you didn't know that, if you didn't know
sure.
this about me, I'm a tangenty person. So there's this game that I bought called Eshtitan. I don't know if you saw it when you were at Gen Con.
Didn't get a chance to tour around too much, unfortunately.
So essentially, it's this weird cultist game where you're trying to build your army to get the favor of the Dark Lord, right? And it's a deck building / risk type game. That's what it is. And but every round you get this new like card that introduces some crazy thing to the mix. So here, what if we introduced a scenario that introduced crazy fucking bullshit cards? Everybody's the same initiative this round after you move. So after everybody moves, and like you said, like let's let everybody take proton torpedoes, and then we play this scenario where everybody's an I6 and everybody shoots proton torpedoes at one time.
I could only picture the tilt of one of you rolling all blanks on all of your protons and your opponent just nattying every shot.
Yep.
It would just be a pure dice game of chaos and
It would be
tiltness.
it would be hilarious though.
I mean, we'd get so many live reactions of people raging in their games. It
Yeah,
would
it's
be
like that would be an actual table flip. I guarantee you, somebody would try to flip the fucking tables.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let's back to the seriousness.
Entropy.
Back to seriousness. Anything else in Scum that you think needs a point adjustment upwards?
Let me take a look at. Let me take a look. Why Basket 7 feels fine to me. I was on the fence about, but Dengar doesn't really get played much. Um, I just have stuff. I have stuff that should go down. I think is all I have left now. So.
And I'm in agreement with you. I feel Scum is probably one of the under. Scum is the hardest to balance, and now that everybody gets free fucking loadout points, Scum is the hardest one to balance.
Yeah.
But I think there's way many overusage in Scum.
Oh, for sure. And we
like,
could talk about the fangs again.
Yes, 100%. Like, and if Charles were here right now, he would be preaching the same choir. And I think you just take a few of them. Like, I think the Mandalorian Royal Guards should go down to 4. Like, I don't care about Skull Squadron. I don't care about Zealots. I don't give a shit about any of them. And I think Old Turok should immediately go down to 5. Like, there is zero reason Old Turok is 6.
Again, like you said, if you're not Fen Rao rolling 4 dice at range 1 guaranteed every time with the focus, you're kind of fodder. So making them cheaper seems fine to me. I think Old T. Here's the other issue I didn't mention with Fang Fighters is that they're one of the most hyper predictable ships in the game. It's pretty easy to counter your opponent when they're flying a Fang Fighter like Old T or Fen Rao. It's like, okay, so you've set yourself up for a 5 straight. So I'm gonna 1 straight. And sit here with 4 ships, and you're gonna be at range 2, and it's gonna be really feels bad.
Or you're gonna 2 bank or 2 hard or straight. Like there's or you're gonna K turn. There's only like 4 fucking maneuvers your ship does.
And if they're stressed, it's almost always like a 2 hard or a 2 bank.
Yeah.
So Old T going down. So Fen Rao loses some loadout, goes down to 6. And Old T goes down to 5. I could see the argument for making a limited one of the others like a 4-pointer just without any loadout, or maybe 4 points of loadout or something, or they could take Fearless, right? That's kind of all I have for Fangs, I guess.
Okay.
Now going on to what was next that I wanted to talk about? Let's look at the Falcon again really quick. So Hana 6, Lando 6. I don't think we should live in a world where there's a 5-point Falcon, right?
Should we? Probably not. No.
Probably not, right? Because both Lando and Han are usually not impressive enough to take, but people have done some work with them. If you really know what you're doing, you can get them to work pretty well. Yeah, I don't think they should go down. What else? Oh, Maul. Yeah, Maul needs to go back down to he's at 9 now. He could be 8 points. I mean,
Yeah. Are
right?
you going to
That's
take
fine.
Maul over Boba? Tell me which one you want to take.
I'll take Boba with Maul.
I
Yeah.
won't. I'll take Boba and I'll take Savage or Ahsoka, and you can have
So
Maul on
why not
Kanan.
Maul anymore? Why taking the other?
Because if I'm going to take Kanan, I'm going to put Maul on Kanan every day of the week.
Can't you put one of the other Force users on Kanan and
You
just call it
can,
a
but
day?
every time you shoot at Kanan, I take a stress, and I don't give a fuck, and I'm going to get
Oh,
my Force
yeah. See,
back.
I don't like the dial enough to be willing to take the stress. I guess is why I don't. Either way, it's good. It's like yes, the Force is strong. But yeah, he was. So was Maul 8 points before, or was he 7?
He was 8.
Okay, yeah. So just drop him back down to 8, and take away a couple of let out points, and I think the gauntlet should be a viable choice in Scum. Like someone might actually consider it versus now it's just like, why the hell would I even think about playing this?
Yeah.
Um,
Especially now that like, I felt it was weird that they upped his price and then nerfed contraband, so you couldn't do the Jabba stress thing constantly, right? And then it's
yeah,
just like, okay, great, that's great, but here's the deal. Like, now I'm not going to take Maul at 9 points because I could just take Boba. And, like, oh, Boba's going to get rerolls, and, oh, Boba's going to be able to take other ships that can benefit him,
yeah.
and
He's
a
a
Shape
medium base.
Cloud,
He's
and,
got the boost. I mean, there's just
like,
so many reasons, and he still has the reinforce.
oh, and I could put 2-point Mando on Boba to get a white reinforce. Thank you. Yep, I'm just going to do that.
Yeah,
Like, I'm never going to take Maul. So,
yeah, no, for sure. There was Maul was played a bit when the game first came out or when the Gauntlet first came out, but I don't think he was like he didn't do anything so insane to warrant him getting nuked like I felt
yeah.
like he did. So um want to talk about the TIE fighters real quick?
Yeah, we could talk about TIE fighters. Yep.
Yeah, they all got to go down. So I'm actually surprised that it's Seavor's 4. He should be 3. And then you can have like a have or you can have a couple of these be 2. Foreman Proach could probably whoever's the most useless, probably Foreman Proach.
Yeah.
Could go down to 2 points for 4 loadout or something.
Or the
Ahab could go
generics,
down.
right? I don't. How about this? I
Yeah.
don't even know why Ahav went up to 3. I don't even know. Like, you can make all of them except for Seavor 2 points, and it would be inconsequential, right?
I'm trying to understand the thought process of them being like, well, we got to obviously make the Scum TIE Fighters 3 points, but make the Imperial TIE Fighters, which is better, 2
2
points.
points.
It's like, what? And it makes multiple of them. Like, but Night Beast went up to 3 points. And I'm like, what up? What did Night Beast do to you guys? Like, none of it made sense, man.
Yeah, so I agree. Just make them all 2 points, except for Seavor, and leave Seavor at 3.
Yep.
And if you want to knock their loadout down, I don't give a shit what you do. You knock it down to 2 or 3 points, and we move on. Like how about this? If you give me more TIE fighters that can fly through obstacles, I'm going to play them. Like, I like that ability personally.
Yeah. I agree. I was just taking a look at the Hawks, and I don't think the Hawks are. I think the Hawks are priced fine. I think Dace Bonearm could probably be 4, right? Because Dace isn't like that good, is he?
Yes and no. I don't think so. So the answer is yes. He can be. He can be oppressive. I think if you move him to 4, you take the title away, and then you're fine.
He can take Moldy Crow.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, I thought only Palob could.
Nope. I thought so too, but I guess not. So, at least according to Yatsby.
Oh yeah, that's weird. I didn't know he could take it. Interesting. Yeah, because him and Palob. Well, that changes my mind. Then I thought he couldn't. I was surprised at 5. If he didn't have Moldy Crow, why he'd be 5. But yeah,
I still say
Palob.
take Moldy Crow away and put him at 4, and
Yeah,
like
for sure.
except for, again, it is a feels bad if you run in that list to run Ions. Like, if you move him to 4, he's a good competitor for do you really want Gamut? Like, could you just figure out how to rearrange your, especially if you give me 2-point TIE fighters?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I think you take the title away and move him to 4. I think that's what you do, and we see how it fleshes out in the meta. Do we see a bigger ionizing meta? Ionizing? I don't even know how you say that.
I mean, there's so many options in Scum, but there's really only like 4 or 5 actual choices, right? Like right now,
Yeah.
like the Y Wings, throw those out the window. The Falcon, as far as I'm concerned, throw it out the window. Like you want to win. You want to win games. And a lot of the options in Scum, like you mentioned how it's hard to balance them. So, keeping that in mind, like fire stations are right are creme de la creme at the top, right? And then you build around maybe, the Mandalorian's ship, the ST-70, the Rogue. I mean, I had maybe the new Rogue class starfighters, but I feel like they're more viable and separatist. I don't know. You know more about that than me. The Jumpmaster, I mean, Manaru was getting played, not as much anymore because of the nerf there. Dengar, I don't see Dengar. So
Dengar just because Dengar is predictable and you can block him. Like the problem is if you lower Dengar's points with his double tap, like he's a monster.
He's a problem.
Yeah, that's because
Proton torpedoes and Han Gunner is still a thing on him too.
Yep. Well, and you can now take Gar Saxon Gunner, right? And I don't know. Like it's a little bit more. Dengar is the troubling piece of that pie there, right? But again, are you going to take Dengar over a fire spray? Yeah, probably not. But I can't. I don't know. Like I think the reason they raised Manaru is because everybody was taking Manaru. I think you move Tell to 5 and you move Dengar to 6 and drop some of the loadout. But then it doesn't feel thematic because now I'm not taking Dengar with a bunch of shit,
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's impossible to have a high initiative, ship that doesn't have a ton of loadout points, right?
Yeah.
It's just the formula that we have. The cards we are dealt. Okay, so we talked about I don't know, the Sikhs, I don't really you did mention briefly about making
I'm just teasing. I don't know. Like you could if you gave me one that had no loadout and was 2 points, but I guess your point about the TIE fighters just going down 2 points, really just leave the Sikhs where they are for now. And let's adjust TIE fighters and leave Sikhs where they are and call it a day.
And I like Genesis is a really frustrating ship to pilot right now because there's just way too many I5s and I6s, and coordinating Genesis is so useless.
Yep.
So it's tough.
And they do
really
pop.
want to get it to work.
Look, I'm telling you, they do pop. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, for sure.
Leighton is probably one of the best ones at point, because once you shoot, they get a free evade.
I feel like Leighton should be 3 because it's very defensive, right?
Then you got to take some of that ion away because the ion feeds into Garsacton.
Sure.
And that's the problem is when you allow Leighton to not have to take offensive mods, and everything that Leighton takes is a defensive mod, Leighton becomes a monster with that. And think of it, if you could put a tractor token, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with you that because it is defensive, it would be nicer at 3 points. But I will tell you at 4 points, it's very hard to kill Leighton as it is. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think moving on to the Y-Wings, if the Resistance Y-Wings can have the 3-point treatment, I think a few of these deserve the same.
I would agree. Yep.
Because they're literally unplayable.
Speaking of Resistance, let's talk A-Wings since we have Nabi on. I think all A-Wings are overpriced.
I think I'm good with Scum now if you want to just move to Resistance.
All right, good. Because I don't think you're going to adjust the Y-Wings in Scum and you're just going to leave it alone because I just don't think they're versatile enough to do a damn thing. It's just not. You're not going to take them no matter what you want to do. So no one's going to do it. I own more stupid Y-Wings from Scum because of that pack than I wanted to.
Yeah, so. I want to fly one of them just to feel better about my decision to pay a lot of money for that thing.
No, you'll regret it. You'll immediately regret it. You'll fly against a Vader Defender, which will one-shot it, and then you'll be like, oh,
this is fun.
I just lost 5 points for nothing.
Oh no, I'm only 1 point cheaper than Obi-Wan fucking Kenobi.
Exactly. And he gets 3 forts, and he can reposition and get free focuses.
Twice. Incredible.
Oh my god.
And take elusive just as an extra fuck you.
Yeah. All right. So I think I think for me the easy one here, right? So we're gonna bring ZZ up, and I think ZZ is your baseline, right? I think ZZ becomes the baseline.
Should be, yeah.
And I think ZZ goes down to 4 points, and I'm okay if you want to take a little bit of loadout away. I think the only thing that ever made these A-Wings any good was the fact that they had prockets on them, right, with the reposition and I-5.
Yeah. Yeah, if ZZ goes down to 4, so ZZ, I treat ZZ as an unkillable ship, as an unkillable pilot. So she would have to really lose some loadout points, and I advocate for her being cheaper because none of the RZ2s get any love.
No, I just none of them. Like I don't understand and it's the same thing with the M3As. Here's the problem: you could take a 3-point fucking Y-wing in resistance, and every A-wing is 4 points. But every Y-wing has so much loadout that you can just bomb. You are not going to lose a Y-wing in one turn almost ever.
Yeah.
In resistance, but you're going to lose an A-wing.
Yep.
I ran ZZ and lost ZZ because I was stupid and failed the barrel roll and took 2, range 1 shots into ZZ, and didn't matter how defensive ZZ was, I died.
Yeah.
Right? We're round 1. Or not round 1, but first engagement.
Yeah, that's tough. You should consider not doing that.
Well, I should, and that's fair. Like, that's a bad maneuver on my. I don't play a lot of resistance either.
No, for sure.
For being honest.
But yeah, if you're losing, if you have that situation come up and you've immediately lost 5 points, that's a lot of points. If you're playing any of the scenarios, that's imagine your opponent has 2 scenario points at the end. That's 7 points almost. That's already over a quarter of the game lost from just one unfortunate event. Yeah. So who else is?
What about Merrill? Why is Merrill?
Yeah, Merle should be 3 and almost have no loadout points. Like enough for I don't know, marksmanship and predator or something. 3 or
heroic.
4, 3 points, 4 points, maybe. Yeah, Merle should absolutely be 3.
Because what I want to do with Merle?
Wouldn't be opposed to even a 2-point RZ2, but it would have to be one that's just complete fodder. Like the same way I look at I know Derek was annoying. It slotted in at 2 points, but he also was just he didn't do anything but run away with crates and maybe tag a scramble or something, right? So not advocating for Derek, but in terms of the RZ2, I think it'd probably see. I mean, you could even make a case for Merle's ability is too good. I'm trying to see. There's a couple that have just really bad abilities that you could make a case for being cheaper.
All right, and that's fair. I guess. you how about Sefton? Is it Sefton? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Sefton. But that's an I-5, so I would probably pick one of the lower. Basically, the other kind of way I'm looking at this is that resistance is just not gonna. The people building resistance lists are not gonna want to take, unless it's Nabi, are gonna prefer to take something else than the A-wings, even if one of them or 2 of them are 2 points. So just. There are just other options that are more efficient and better, and that are going to do damage. They're not just going to be out there zipping around, just failing to paper cut ships. So,
all right, Roneth, there you go. Give me Roneth at 2 points. It's a 9-2.
Yeah, Roneth zero loadout points.
No. Give him 2 points so you can have heroic.
Heroic's 2 now. Yeah, it's not 1 anymore. That was a long time ago.
Give it a talent slot and give it 2 points. That's what I say.
Or just troll and give it 1 loadout point.
No, that's so mean. That's so mean.
Yeah, does Nabi agree?
He says Sarah's ability was I-5. Yeah, I agree with you. That's why I was saying 2 points for that with no loadout. Or give again. I think every A-wing, every ship should just be able to have heroic. What if we just stapled heroic? every you got a talent, you get heroic. Merry Christmas. It's free. Free upgrade. Resistance all get heroic.
Go. The new title.
It's a new. There you go. Give me a heroic title for every fucking ship.
I'll take that on my T-65s. Done. Find a way to give it to me in Rebels.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Luke Skywalker wouldn't mind. Wedge, the guaranteed blank out himself.
Yeah, no way. No way can you have that in Rebel. You can have it in this. And I think that's what, when we talk about, I think Resistance was slept on. And I'm going to be frank and just say, I did the math. I live in a statistics world. That's what so when you asked me earlier what I do for a living and I say I work for a healthcare company and I'm a business analyst, I look at statistics and I've done that for my whole career. I went through Resistance statistics and yes, there's less people playing it. So the statistics are a little tilted, right? But Resistance had one of the higher output turnouts in a lot of events in terms of consistency of what they can do. But you're limited to 2 archetypes. That's it. No more, no less.
Yeah. I have a hot take for resistance that I think everyone's gonna hate me for, but we'll get to that in a second. Yeah, I just also I think mentioned Nabi mentioned Tally. Tally can take like can't take rockets, but can take a torpedo, advanced proton torpedo, which is just like but then that turns them into like a Fang fighter that'll pop immediately. If she's getting sent up there to try to, pro torp somebody, it's not gonna probably not gonna go well, right? It's like,
Yeah.
go Tally, go die. Just go die, you 5-point ship.
Yeah. And
It's
again,
tough.
I still think they're fine if we want to keep ZZ at 5 points just because like of who it is. Everybody else, I think, could go down to 4 points or less.
Yeah.
I just really think I think all A wing. I think if you did that, like, and this is sad because when I first started playing too, the I bought into Separatists first after Empire, and then after that I bought into Resistance and quickly stopped playing Resistance because I didn't like the style of it. Like I didn't feel the versatility was there compared to other factions. Like when I started playing FO, I feel there's a lot more weird shit I can do. Scum,
Mhm.
there's a lot of weird shit I can do. Um,
I find resistance to be a little bland for me personally. I feel like kind of cornered with what I have to play, but I do love the RZ2s. So I will level there. Okay, my hot take.
all right,
Um,
Y wings.
no, I think we could both agree that the Y wings need to be adjusted, right? Like
At least some of them, yes.
some of them, yeah. No, so I think I'm ready to see a Ray that is a different Ray than Death Ray. Like the fact that she could, it's just insane. She's 8 points. She's not cheap. She shouldn't be cheap. But the whole shtick of you know, you could change all your blank results to hit results. You could add a result to get a target lock. You get like 6 dice at range 1 or whatever. There's like it's I don't want to talk out both sides of my mouth. As being honest about Rebels and Luke and him losing some of the things that lets him hit so hard. It would be nice to see and refreshing to see people play Ray a little differently and not be able to take the whole Finn Rose false transponder, like all that whole wombo combo, because it's filthy. It can be so filthy. It's wild. So I know people will hate me for saying that because they love to play Death Ray, and she's not the easiest to kill because of her ability. If you're shooting at her and she has you in front arc, and then if she has Notorious, it's brutal. I mean, absolutely brutal. She's taking Notorious as well. So yeah,
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the sad thing because that's what we're stuck in. Nick, with the non-shared loadout points. Which
yeah,
what fixes that, right? Giving a pool of loadout points and fixing upgrade pieces and forcing you to choose what type of array you want to build. And like if you did, it would probably be unbeneficial, like in my Boba Eamon Kanan list, because Kanan's gonna get a few more things that Kanan probably shouldn't have. But Kanan's gonna get a few things, and like I don't know, but that's the thing is the shared loadout pool is so much better. Like it's just
yeah.
such a better mechanic. Um, it just really is. But when we look at Ray, you're right. All we see is a Death Ray, nothing else, which will change once we get the
Yeah.
Poe in.
25 loadout
Yeah.
points.
What? Lower
I
at
would just
5?
no 25 loadout
Yeah.
points for her too. It's just wild. It's another ship that just doesn't need help, and she gets so much help with all the things that she can take. There's like it's really hard for her to have a bad roll as well. I think like the worst roll that she can have is like multiple eyeball results. It's like a combination of just blanks and eyeballs. But like and then even then she's just adds a result, gets a lock.
I
You
know
know,
because I didn't know you could do this, and this is what pisses me off, right? You 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 roll your 1 dice, it rolls a blank. You add a dice, you throw heroic on. You heroic 2 dice now instead of 1. Just that's just bullshit. Like that's I'm sorry. Like when we talk about shit Tanner hates, that I hate. Like
yeah.
that I
It
definitely
should it
fucking
should be a
hate.
part of your actual roll. Adding a
Mhm.
result should not be considered your roll.
Yeah. Like personally, if you want my hot take, you ban Finn Gunner immediately. Finn Gunner is just banned from the game. Let's move on. You can fucking have him in a pod. I hate him in a pod.
Yeah.
Personally, I think he's unkillable the 90% of the time without bombs. I just think he's unkillable. If you don't have a bomb, you aren't killing Finn Pod. Just ignore him.
Yeah.
If he had a better dial, I would kill him. Like I would say ban him too.
Yeah.
But
a lot of the success with resistance really does just revolve around what you can how good Poe is just with his loadout, and being able to take Kaz and then 3 cheap Y wings that have a lot of loadout. It's
yeah.
I mean, let me just take. I'm not advocating for Poe changing because 7 points is a lot. I still would consider maybe lowering his loadout maybe by 3 points. There's a little too many bells and whistles. So
does he? How many loadout points does he have though?
25.
Okay, so fine. Luke's at 22, so you can give him 22 points.
Yeah, I mean, and if
he's lower than Luke, damn it.
Yeah, no, and he's 1 point more. If Luke stays at 6 and Poe stays at 7, then maybe making it 23 points or something, just cut down by a couple.
I don't know. The problem I have is Poe's ability is not that much better than Luke's. Like Luke can live longer than Poe's gonna live.
You think so? Poverdrive Poe? I don't know, man. I don't know. Luke, it's really hard to catch Poe. Like if you have Luke chasing like a 1-hole or 2-hole Poe with Overdrive Poe, like it's real tough to catch that guy. Like it's hard. I don't know if I think Poe going up against Luke, Poe is he's better offensively, I think, than Luke is better defensively. Like taking shots from Poe, Luke's always gonna have the force. Poe might not always have the focus. He might have to use it while he's shooting at I6. But I wouldn't necessarily say that Poe is worse than Luke. I think they're pretty even, to be honest. Just trade-offs.
Yeah.
And HLC Poe is really good.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah,
the extra shield, the chassis better, the dial's better.
I forgot they all have those damn hard points
and Luke isn't taking R4 astromech. He's taking R3, so his 2 hearts are not blue.
I don't know. If you just give him Dutch, you wouldn't have that problem. You don't have to take R3.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I have to build a list around Dutch Bander being able to help with target locks, right?
Yep, I want to see it. I want to see it fail. It's just gonna fail. It'll just fail. So let's talk about X-wings real quick before we move on from X-wings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Is there a reason they should all be 5?
Oh man, the T-70s are so strong, making them. You would have to be really aggressive with the load. I agree with you. Some of them should go down to 4, but they have to be really aggressive, dropping their loadout points.
And is it wrong to say we should just relook at the weapon hardpoint upgrade? Like, is it wrong that we just say maybe that's the part of that piece of it, right? Like, you have when we talk about taking away list building, and we talk about list building and how it works. When you create, and I go back to Separatists all the time, but I have some droids that can take cannons, I have some droids that can take missiles, and some of the stupid ones that can take proton torpedoes, which really they can't take because they're pointless to take on those ships, but you can do that. And I go, well, now I have a hard point that just says take whatever you want, Merry Christmas, here you go, and you get 1 more shield, and you get heroic. Have it whatever the hell you want.
You know what would make me really happy is to just see lists that have other X-wing pilots in it. That's not Poe, like, or overall just a resistance list that could be viable, that doesn't have Poe at all. That that uses a combination of Nian, who maybe I feel like they deserve a little bit more in loadout points apartment for their 5 points by like a couple.
No,
because they're not getting played. I think
I hate Nian. Ban him for the game.
Bias speaking, man. Ban him from the game.
Fuck that.
No, sir.
Fuck done. I hate him. I hate Nian. He touched me in the wrong place.
Yeah, right. So who else is getting played, right? Like, I guess Elo doesn't get played. Kara doesn't get played. Tubbs doesn't get played anymore. Used to. Pava sometimes, but she's not that good in 2.5. He's talking to Pim about it. He says the loadout's not enough. That's I don't think she should necessarily have more. Bastion doesn't get played. I can see like Bastion going down, Kara going down to 4.
Yeah, I think give me a few at 4 with lower loadout points. How about this? I would play like Kara Kun. Like that was my go-to when in 2.0. Like if I played a resistance list, 90% of the time she was in it. Like in fairness, like I love Kara or however the hell you say her name.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Um,
one of those.
I really do genuinely like her. Like, I love her ability. Like, just you get to do the boost as a hard, like a free Daredevil. You're very good.
Yep.
And I think people sleep on Temin as well, right? Because Temin, you get the free boost, the good Temin, not the shit Temin.
Yep.
And I don't know why we have to have two Temins. Just get rid of the one that sucks, or make them both 5
No,
points and call it a day.
none of them suck.
I don't like
The
the
boost
flipping of
one?
the boost one's great.
Oh,
The
you think the flipping of the foils one with all the mods that they get is bad?
I think it's silly. Like, it's
Well,
great.
you have to run a list with a bunch of T70s, I guess.
The problem becomes because of how the points are so stale, right?
Yeah.
That's why.
A
Because
4 T70 list is just bad, just purely bad. Like,
yes, it's fun.
yeah, I think that's boring though. Flying four the same ship that just kind of
Hey,
all does the same thing.
whatever floats people's boats.
It's like the people that played 4 HNPs. You think that was fun? Come on, it's not fun for anybody.
Maybe it was.
Oh, this is so fun. I'm playing the game.
It was fun.
Sitting at a corner. Yeah, that's fun. All right.
It was fun. They died. They didn't live. They were only good by like 2 people. 2 people were the only 2 people who could make them good in the whole game. They sucked otherwise. Like, we haven't got to wait till we get to Separatists. I'm going to be super opinionated there.
Yeah.
But
all right. Well, yeah, we should probably. The last thing I'd say is I forgot to mention is that Finn and the pod should go back up to 4 points.
yep, I agree. 100%. Let's get rid of and ban Finn Gunner. I'm sorry. Like, just let's ban him from standard. Like, I really let's just move on and like all do something better in Resistance
with our lives.
Yeah, like I just
yeah.
I'm not going to tell you it's broken because I don't think it's broken, but I think it just enables things. And fine, you know what? You want to keep them at 3 points and extended or whatever the hell they call it, and ban Finn period from standard. I'm okay with that too.
Yeah,
like when's the day I could go back to having Rose Tico in a fucking pod and actually play Rose Tico again? That's what I want. I want to see Rose in the table.
Yeah, let's see more Rose. You want to just go through first order real quick?
Yeah, we can go through first order next. Yep. That one's probably easy.
You're leading. This is your show, so you do whatever you want, man.
Yeah, let's go. I like going down I like going down the list. Okay. Let's do first order next because Von Reg is the first one that I talked through.
I'm looking at. Yeah, go for it.
And I have an issue with what they did with Von Reg. You know, like to me, Von Reg should go down a point. Just take a little bit of loadout away and make Von Reg go down a point. I think Von Reg should be played, and I think Von Reg's an amazing ship. It's just like the Soontir Fell effect, you know?
Yeah, especially this version of the game, man. It's hard for him to arc dodge. And he's always having to make that choice of taking the strain. If he's getting shot even once, that strain is really scary. Yep. Yeah, no, he should absolutely not be 6 points. He should not be 1 point more than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No. And with that being said, then that talks about Hollow, and I say bring Hollow down to 4 points as well. Give me Hollow at 4 points, and give me Ember at 4 points, and give me more loadout on Ember.
Oh, that's the Hollow's ability to throw people's locks away is so good, though. I'm not sure. Maybe Hollow could stay and have more loadout points. I don't know.
Okay, all right, I would be okay with that too.
Yeah,
but I'll be honest, it's hard for me to take Hollow over Von Reg.
Yeah,
unless Hollow has that much more loadout points than Von Reg. Like, I guess if you put Hollow maybe at 22 loadout points and Von Reg down to like 15, I would consider then Hollow at I5.
One of the polls that I ran for GSP, this was I think this is right before 2.5, so obviously things are different, but it was, who's the better BA pilot, Hollow or Von Reg, and it was like very close. It was almost split. People said Hollow, though. More people said Hollow, which is interesting. It's all about play style. I don't like to play ships in a formation or in a bunch at up to range 2. You got to keep people close to Hollow. Von Reg's much more of a lone wolf, AC kind of doing his own thing. That's my play style. So,
same here.
Yeah.
And so I think Ember should get more loadout points immediately. Like, just give me Ember with more loadout points.
Yeah, and everyone, people always compliment Ember and be like, Ember's really good. I'm like, okay, I've never really seen Ember do a lot of work. I haven't seen a lot of games with Ember in their list. So, so be cool. Probably does deserve a few more points, though, for sure.
Yeah, they nerfed it because it was like running it with the that weird combination of, Gideon Malorus type thing, and then everybody's like, oh my god, it's just too much, blah blah blah, and I don't know.
Yeah. Let's do maybe the SF next.
Yeah.
is I think quick draw could go down to 5, which would be very aggressive. But quick draw is also just like not really even considered, surprisingly to me, like at all. So she's got way too many loadout points. I mean, 22 would have to drop off heavily. She doesn't need 22 points in my
25.
eyes.
25.
She has
Not
25.
22. Yeah, 25.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you die right away, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Right. Yeah. She's very much just like Soontir, a 2.0 ship. Like it just feels really good to play in 2.0 because the average ships in a list was like closer to 3.5 or 4. Now it's like 5+, 5.5. And yeah, I mean, the 6-point ship in a chassis like that getting focus fired, it's just so easy for her to get. She can't go anywhere. She kind of just gets locked in, just kind of moving straight or banking 1 or 2 banks. And yeah, she should go down for sure.
And I think the same thing for LaHughes. I think LaHughes is overpriced.
Oh yeah, wow, he's 5. Yikes.
Yeah, like no. I get that he's an I5, but to me, like I would bring him down to like the Phasma and maybe neuter a little bit of the loadout because Phasma's 4, an I4 and 14 points, and Backdraft's 4 and a 12. If you give me Lieutenant Hughes with, let's just say 10 or 12 loadout points, I still probably take LaHughes, in that 4-point slot. I think I do. I think I really think I do. So, and these things get burned down like crazy, right? Like these things are just, I don't know.
Yeah, they just don't stand up to the firepower that has come in their way. And they're not good for. I mean, they're good for like claiming objectives, but if it's like a assault or a scramble, but for salvage, they're kind of DOA as well.
Yep. I think Revis should go back down to 2. We'll just say that right there. Put Revis at 2. There's zero reason for that FO to be like. I don't care. Take the loadout points away again and give me a 2-point Revis. I guess
Surprisingly, Midnight's pretty cheap, right? 4 points. It's not bad. I don't think she should be cheaper than that.
No. I like Midnight. I think Malorus should go up a point. And
Malorus is too good at 3.
And I think if you put Malorus at 4 and give them more loadout points, I think you're okay. I think you fix some of that issue of raising a point, so that if you do want to invest it, maybe enough to take a shield upgrade and some missiles, like get 12 points. There you go. Let's do 12 points. You could take a shield upgrade, and then you could take clusters still, and I would be okay with that at 4 points. I'm okay with that.
It makes Static 2. Static's ability is so bad. While you perform a primary attack, you may spend your lock on the defender and a focus token to change all of your results to crit results. 2 points. 2 points. I mean, is that ability already only has how many loadout does Static have? 8. Just drop that to slash that in half at least. And I mean, that ability, like that's like I should got to make a bingo space for somebody playing a game with Static and be like, can you get this? Can you do this? Because even if you do it, it's bad. Like you probably get yourself killed. Spending your lock and focus.
Nabi, you're not getting 6 RZ2s. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We already agreed they could go down to 3. But you're not going to get like, I don't know. I guess you could get 6. Whatever. We're past
with a deficit. Which is with a deficit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my spicy idea.
No, but I agree. I guess Static, I could see that. So put Static at 2 with very little loadout points.
Yeah. I mean, that ability is just not good. It's I mean, sure, crits are fun, but like, is it not enough to spend your lock? But you also just spend your focus, and you're just hoping you rolled well enough that
so you have to roll really well, and then you have to
spend them
both. Yeah.
You've got to be at range 1 for it to actually be good. Yeah, no.
So I think that leaves silencers next, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I have any like real opinions on the silencers. Blackout could be 5 with less loadout points.
How about this? Give me Blackout at 5, and give me so let's see here. Rush. Hold on, let's look these up because I don't know what each one of them do. I want one of them at 4 points with no loadout. Not Rush. It will not be Rush. All right. How about Recoil? Recoil does nothing, right?
Recoil's ability is okay. It's like you can treat your bullseye's front arc
Uh,
requirement
all
for.
right. But if he had no loadout, then it wouldn't matter, right? All right. What's Avenger do? Hold on. Let's see
No,
what.
yeah, I mean Predator is like the main reason why people like recoil. Avenger is reliance on people dying.
All right. Give me Avenger. It's a 3. It's an I3. Um. Yep. Give me Avenger at 4, and you could keep the 6 points of loadout. I like that.
Yeah.
I think give me one of them at 4 points to mix it up a little bit. I think it's okay.
Yep. I don't disagree with that. Was there anything else with the silencers?
Not
'Cause I'm
really. I
fine with
mean, because I don't want to
Kylo.
move Kylo down farther.
No, yeah,
It's
Kylo.
it's bombers next, and we
Okay.
know what needs to happen with those.
I'm finally ready for those things to get a proper adjustment because in 2.0 they were way too cheap and they're still way too oppressive. So I also, just as a global thing, I really hope that they take a long, hard look at chaff and either make it really hard for these things to be as efficient and just guaranteed as they are now with bombers, or they just nuke the cost of chaff. Be like, we've recognized that this thing is almost impossible in a lot of cases to avoid, and it's just really swings games very heavily. And yeah, the bombers, like the somebody did a chart of where what you could do with skilled bombardier and one of the bombers with the chaffs, and it was like, yeah, you couldn't avoid it.
So okay. So let me. I'm gonna back up a little bit because I don't think those are as aggressively hard as people think. I will say skilled bombardier should immediately stop. That's done. Move on. And I think you should not be able to boost and shoot a chaff cloud. Just period. Right? Like let's just say you can shoot it or boost. Those are it. There's no other options. Like you cannot shoot it and then boost. You can shoot it or boost, and you cannot boost first and then shoot it. Like I think you stop them with the shave clouds if you do that. That's the first thing, because I don't think shave clouds are that oppressive, and I don't want shave clouds to go away. I don't care. Like
What are they? What's their price right now? 6?
they're 4 points.
Oh yeah, too cheap. So maybe make them 5 or 6, but
Uh,
4 points, man.
all right, 5
5.
point. I'll go
5.
with 5. I'll concede at 5, but I will not concede at 6 because I can take
Okay.
a proxy
5.
for 6.
How much should Notorious be, by the way? We haven't. I just.
you want to have that kind of 6?
Yeah.
Just give me 6
Yeah,
points
thank
for
you.
Notorious and move on. I like Notorious, but I don't want to see it on everything. So it's a 6 point. Like, do I want to take Trick Shot or Notorious? I'm going to take Notorious over Trick Shot every time, every single time. Like, and if that's the case, and I'm not going to raise Trick Shot up from 4
It's
points.
just a poorly designed card too. The fact that it's 2 recurring and you only have to use 1 charge. Like, why is it not 2 charges to use it? Like, and then you get the rerolls too. It's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is where
anyways.
when they went away from initiative based costs, drives me nuts, right? Because on an I3, when I ran it on Iman, it doesn't do a lot, right? Like you take the strain, and then I get to reroll with Iman, but with Boba, like I'm just passing on that strain, so all my other ships can like take advantage of it, which is more important than my reroll.
If I'm first player, I shoot Boba. Like this happened at Gen Con, my first game, such a bad game. I had Boba in like 2-hole wedge range 1, shot at him, terrible roll, and then he's like, cool, thanks. I got you range 1 at the back with Marauder, all the rerolls and Force, and I'm gonna strain you with Notorious now as well. And I'm like, this is awful. Like I didn't even deal any damage to him on that shot, and I got wrecked.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I think Notorious should say, personally, I think Notorious should immediately say, upon damage dealt, then you can pass the strain off. Just kind of like if you think about other upgrades we have, right? Like, oh, okay, Maul, you don't get to regen Force unless Maul you suffer damage, right? Hate is the same way. You don't regen Force unless you suffer damage.
Sure.
To me, Notorious says the same thing. Like it's a deterrent that's kind of an NPE, in my opinion. Like I feel it is. But I think if we look at the bombers, I think so here's where I would caution moving all the costs around. I think if you nerf the Chafe Cloud with them only, and let's move it to 5 points. I'm okay with that. Like, let's move it to 5 points. Let's nerf it on the bombers, so they can't use either of their abilities on the Chafe Cloud. I don't actually have as big of a problem with the bombers.
Yeah, I think was it Grudge is the one that's getting like played all the time right now, right?
Yeah, everybody wants to run Grudge because it's the rerolls.
Yeah. Okay, Grudge. But is it just it's just Grudge's ability? So I don't know if just dropping the loadout points for Grudge actually fixes that quote unquote problem. I don't think that's tough because Breach is 5, and I don't think Breach is getting any play.
A little bit, not much though.
Yeah, no, I mean Grudge is that's tough. I don't know because if they make him 5, then they're going to give him the chance of taking everything. And I don't know if I like that either.
Yeah. I think
So
here we take the subtle approach, right? So, like, when we
errata.
talk about the issue with, like, Crispy's List, Crispy's List is the biggest issue in FO. We'll just say that right now, right? And Crispy's List is what's pushing everything else out of FO, is that list that they created. And I don't know if he created it or not, but whatever. I'm guessing he created that list. That list is the list that's pushing things out. And
Mhm.
if you get rid of Shafe Cloud abilities, you nerf that list immediately. And if you move Malorus to the 4 points, like we talked about, you nerf that list, right? And you start to move that list around a little bit, to the point where you can't take the same amount of things. I'm not opposed to Grudge going up 1 point, personally, but I think that if we take baby steps, then we would see if it really is that much effective. Because if you get rid of the Shafe Cloud and the Shafe Cloud and the Skill Bombardier piece, I think you fix a little bit of this of the FO things. And look, you drop Von Reg to 5 points. Am I going to take a 5-point Von Reg or a 4-point Bomber? I'm probably personally going to take a Von Reg. Like,
Yeah,
just me.
depends on the kind of spam approach you want to. There's a lot of spam in FO. I mean that kind of ties into the next point of with like Wilo. Um, I've only had terrible experiences going up against Wilo, especially when road doesn't go your way. It's just so frustrating. It's like awful. However, I don't think he should be the same price as Silencer Kylo, but the community is treating Wilo as the better option right now because of that 6 point cost. So to me, I think just lowering his loadout points is going to help. Because I don't think he should be the same price as Silencer Kylo. Because I think on paper, or just in terms of results and the kind of nuances of both ships, Silencer Kylo is just better. But that jamming, like the ability to jamming got so easy to do now, especially when people are flying larger bases and you can line up in a bullseye to jam. And they have such a great dial. It's pretty hard to avoid getting jammed by the whispers. So I just think that they should take a look at Kylo's loadout. And then I don't know, Wrath too expensive at 5, or could Wrath be 4? I'm not really sure. I'm not too
And no,
familiar
you got
with
to
the
be
other one.
careful. Otherwise, we're going to get a bunch of silencers spam.
Yeah, I mean, people are already trying to do that. It's just kind of
It's
boring.
fun.
And is it fun?
It's fun. Yeah, it
Is
is.
it? Yeah.
It is. It's fun. It's a dick move is what I call it. Right. I
Yeah,
don't think it's good enough that it's
just being a
impactful.
dick. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think jamming can be a really big NPE experience. Like being able to jam off a reinforce on a decimator or a ghost is really shitty. Like that sucks that you can do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like they need those so desperately. You're just like, ah, screw you.
Yeah. I think if you look at, you could take you could take what's his name in the problem is they move too fast, but you could take 4 silencers, um, and then you could take the Z class shuttle. You could take any of those. You're giving up a point, but you could take, I don't know. So let's just say you take Gideon,
5 ship list.
and then you could take, yeah, and the problem becomes if you keep them all close together, you're just running into, because you take Whirlwind, you take 709, and you take Nightfall, and then you have 4 points left, and you could take anything you want. So
Yeah,
you could
sounds like
take,
fun.
yeah, so like you take another 709. So if you lower Wrath down to 4, I now could take Wrath, 2 709s, Whirlwind, Nightfall, and Gideon. Or 1 709. That's not good. Like I'll tell you right
Yeah.
now, that's not good. You know.
Yeah, and but I do think that there's something to be said about the community kind of not like rallying around things that are just so feels bad and such dick moves. I that's partially a reason why I think a lot less people. I'm not calling anybody, especially not Knuckles, a dick. By the way, I love that guy, but a lot of people aren't playing Vader Defender in like droves. You know, like I think a lot of people just don't really believe in Vader Defender for multitude of reasons. One is just in terms of the comp between him and X1 Vader, and the other, is just the experience, the feeling of playing something like that. It's like that's kind of a cheat code. So people are like, eh. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why I'm not doing all the jamming shenanigans because it's just going to piss people off.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Republic.
Yep, let's do it.
So I feel I guess this is my personal feeling. I feel that Republic is pretty decently balanced.
Okay.
I believe that there should be a couple of arcs that go down to 4 points. I believe Sinker is worthless at 6, personally.
Its Sinker is 6
Yeah,
points.
Sinker is 6 points, and it doesn't matter because nobody uses Sinker's ability because
a fire convergence, right?
yeah, because you have fire convergence with a lat, and the lats don't die as easy. So I don't know. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I can see the arcs. I would be careful giving people the opportunity to spam more than a couple arcs in a list. Plus, like 2 arcs, a lat and Jedi would be intense to deal with.
So, by the way, I can run a lat and 3 arcs in a list, and I did not do well. You can ask Greg. And now that some of it's my fault, but
it doesn't sound like it sounds like in the end game it's bad, right? And just kind of falls apart.
It does. It does. It to some extent it does. But you can run 1 arc and some Jedi and a lat. So how about this? 7B Barris can take C3PO and Patience. And the way 7th Fleet Gunner works, you can
Oh no, yeah, we got to talk about 7th Fleet Gunner.
You can trigger the extra dice and Patience at the same time, right? So Patience triggers, you get your deplete, then 7th Fleet Gunner can trigger and give you that die back. Or you could give it to Hound if you'd rather. Like, so you get the pick. Do you want, like if you're at range 1 with Barris, you could say, oh, I'm going to take my Patience, take the deplete, give it to Hound, and still have 4 dice. Or I'll keep the deplete, not give it to Hound, and take 7th Fleet Gunner.
I think there's going up playing against Duncan, there's the fire convergence on top of calculate passing on top of 7th Fleet Gunner. There's something needs to get touched there a little bit. I think 7th Fleet could go up to 10. Just giving every turn, being able to give somebody an extra attack die needs to be priced accordingly, and 8 is too cheap. I also think we can talk about the lats. The lats are they have way too many loadout points. Like it's crazy how much Hound is 23, Hawk is 20, and the Warthog is less, and he's more expensive because of the I don't even know if Warthog is that good because the Republic lists are 3 or 4 ship lists right now. There's not as much spam.
Warthog doesn't work because nobody's running generic. So Warthog's dead. He's dead. Like they actually had 0
generic only.
Yeah, they had 0,
non-limited.
Yeah, they had 0 reason to do anything to Hawk. You could actually make Hawk a 4-point lat, and I'd fly it.
Yeah, I mean it's just So they should have less loadout. I don't think they should be all 4 points because it is 10 hit points and fire convergence. Like you have to price accordingly for the fact that you can all the slots everything they have and never have to target and Jedi not having to worry about taking locks is pretty strong.
Yes.
So
actually,
and
I will be honest.
There's so much power in a list right now.
I feel the lat is like the reason you can't change the pricing of all these other things. Like, if you made the lat like 2 charges for every time, so basically use a once per turn. Like, how about this? Even if you said once per turn you get rerolls and you get to regen the 2, but you only could use it once, Or give me, fuck it, just give it one then, right? Like, why do you need two? Just give it
Yeah.
one fire convergence. You can start moving pricing around on all these other ships.
Yeah, they won't do that though. I just think the easiest and best approach right now is to nerf Seven Fleet Gunner and drop their loadout points by like 4 or 5.
Yep.
Like the fact that we are looking at the same loadout value as like what Luke and like Poe have is insane. I get it, they're support ships, but like you shouldn't be able to take everything.
So. They're designed to be support ships. And I'll tell you what, with my Hound build, if you lowered it like 3 points, I wouldn't care. Actually, if you lower Hawk 3 points, you do neuter Hawk a little bit, but then you're just forcing people into taking Hound.
Yeah, I think there's just should be a little bit more of a decision around Seventh Fleet, because the what makes it even better on the LAT is that the LAT is never meant to deal damage because it's just not good at it. It's really kind of incapable of dealing damage. So you don't care about taking the disarm. You're basically disarmed every round anyways. So like, if there was a little bit more of a drawback to taking Seventh Fleet, I would be a fan. I think that.
Now on the opposite side, Torrents are overpriced. So just flat out. They're just overpriced garbage.
Yeah, they should definitely be in the 3-point category. The fact that you have Axe and Kickback are 3. But yeah, I think they could all be 3 with differing.
You want to take Contrail or Axe? Oh, I'll take Contrail. I could drop bombs. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Like no.
Yeah.
I think Contrail has to go back up to
points. Contrail getting that many loadout points from going to 2 points to 3 is like had none versus a ton now. Easy slot in if you're at 17 points with your list, you just throw Contrail and they're like, great, another high initiative ship. Cool.
Yeah. And I agree. I think the LAT has actually ruined this faction. If I'm being honest with you, like with what FFD did, like I feel the LAT is like made this faction a very hard faction to balance, and they don't even have the same shit that Scum has, right? Like Scum is crazy because there's so many different like upgrades you can equip to all these things. Like, just give me some Jedi with a bunch of like, give me Obi-Wan with 3 Force, and I could take Patience, I could take whatever I want. You're gonna give me 7 Fleet Gunner, and I don't know.
Being able to pass mods too, you're right, and you have to, if you want to build a Republic list that could win, you have to include the LAT, and that's a problem to me. It's problematic side of list building for a faction to be locked into such a specific identity that you're building around one ship. Don't love that.
Remember back in the day before LATs, you could run 5 CLT Jedi Knights. You could run 5 CLT Jedi Knights. That was fun. It didn't win anything. There was a lot of
variety in lists. There was like, we saw lists with Padme and the N1s. We saw 3-ship lists with just aces, like, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and like, Mace or some Torrents, or there was a lot of flavor. And now I feel like this faction has gotten, I already struggled list building with Republic months ago, and now I kind of don't even bother. I just am not interested in playing what everyone else is playing. And I feel like I have to, because I want to win, even in casual nights. I want to build something that's somewhat capable of winning, even if it's kind of fun. I don't want to break something that's complete jank. And how about the Delta 7? So for me, Obi-Wan just needs to go up to 6. I don't understand why he's 5 points. I hate that Delta 7 Aether Sprite Obi is 5. He shouldn't be priced at the same level as the LAT either. It doesn't really compute in my head. So yeah, maybe it's a hot take, but I think he's still very good at 6 points. And he's still 1 point less than Delta 7B Anakin, which seems fair enough, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not opposed to Obi being at 5 points. I think if you start looking at some of these other things, right? It's like if we start looking at the LAT and we start looking at 7 Fleet Gunner, C-3PO, those type of things, I think I'm okay with him being at 5 points. And I think it's thematic, and I like being able to run Obi and Anakin in the same list. I don't know. It's again, he's just a hard ship to balance with limited points, right? So really, he's worth 5.5. Um,
Yeah. I maybe he just loses. Maybe he loses his talent slot. He loses 2 or 3 loadout points or something.
yeah.
Yeah, because paired with the lat CLT double reposition 3 force, he can force to evade and really hard to kill him, and he does a surprising amount of damage. 7B Anakin, I have a problem. Again, this people like if Duncan were watching this, he'd be like, okay, dude, like whatever. But like crack shot on like 7B Anakin is wild. It's like just so strong. I know it's a one-time use, so I'm not saying change crack shot. I'm not saying even get rid of this talent slot, but it's just definitely something to look at when it comes to the talent on force high initiative force users. That conversation. Because the double reposition is just really easy for him to get bullseye. And then with 7 Fleet Gunner, you can roll 4 or 5 attack dice and then crack shot. And it's for 7 points. That's incredible value. Really punches above his weight. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just one of my thoughts. So.
All right. Fair enough. So really, I think the N1s were nerfed too hard. I think the M1s should be looked at again and changed. I liked running the N1s when I ran them at Adepticon. So I was not a lat guy at Adepticon. I ran N1s, 3 N1s. What the hell did I run? 3 N1s, Contrail, and then some V-Wings. So I ran a 7-ship Republic list that I went 3, 1, and 2. So, there you go. Like, I obviously didn't do super well, but I did average with it.
That tie is frustrating.
It was horrible. It was a bullshit tie, too. So,
yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah. I think Annie, like baby Annie, could go down. Padme's ability can be really, really, really good. She still never really got too much play, even when she was more affordable. She's always been a little expensive if you think about it. Really hard. And Rick is just so predictable that, I mean, you could even say Rick could be, have little loadout and even be 4 points if we're trying to get the faction to be have more depth.
Diverse.
Again. Yeah. To have some diversity.
Yeah. And I think, I don't want to rearrange the Z95s personally, but I like Z95s. I've ran a Hound Z95 list and done okay with it. I'm a 50-50 with it. We'll just put it that way.
Sure.
It's not amazing. It's not going to win tournaments, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, and X-Wing, you're supposed to have fun when you play X-Wing outside of the competitive scene, right? Like, try stuff out, learn. It's a learning experience for me, playing new stuff.
You want to know what's really fun?
What?
Homing torpedoes and Z95s and Hound and Sync Console.
Oh yeah.
Have a day. It's TLT. It's TLT without the second damage. It's fun.
Oh.
People hate it. I don't care. It's just a fun. It's a fun list that it's a fun list.
I don't see a lot of homing torpedoes being used. This is probably the same reason why
it's not really that good. Yeah. It's just and because it's one, if you don't have the shields gone, the crit's worthless, and but it's fun to run if you can run it right, and if you get lucky with how your opponent places obstacles. I'll just put it that way. It is a fun list. I think if I changed up and ran Hound differently with a 7 Fleet Gunner C3PO type thing, it would be a little bit more effective because I wouldn't have to put the homing torpedoes on everything. And actually, I changed up a few of them for V-Wings, and I think it does better. But again, it's hard when you have Jedi that have Force that, I don't know. It's hard to want to run that. I don't know. We haven't decided in our Nickel City League whether I'm going to run my fun Jank Z95 V-Wing Hound list or whether I'm going to try to be more competitive to actually win our, win our games.
Yeah.
So
it's Team CFIS.
Yeah. I'm 1-4, so there's that. I do better in normal tournaments, but in fairness, Velvet Buddha was like, "Hey, run what the fuck you like to run." So I've ran
Buddha
some really janky stuff.
Buddha is like the scrappy, let the kids have fun kind of captain, versus what Crispy would be like. Was like, all right, results. It's all about results.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I have ran jankier lists and I've had fun running them. And it's fun. And the one list that I ran that was good, I couldn't kill Jango because Jango just said no thank you. Didn't matter what I did with Anakin. But anyway, so whatever. It is what it is. I think if we change a few of these mechanics with the lats, like you were saying, And the 7th Fleet Gunner goes up 2 or 3 points. I think it should go up 3 points. I'll just state it.
Yeah.
Let's just go up 3 points, make it 11, and like make it. This is
extra
part
attack
of your
dice,
list.
man. Come on, it's gotta be expensive. It's gotta be expensive. It's so good.
Especially with Force Jedis, you know.
Force Jedi that could potentially like outmaneuver a crack shot, get extra dice, and then have fire convergence rerolls.
Yep. Woohoo! Exactly why they shouldn't have had missiles. Anyway.
Yeah.
It's a problematic faction. So.
Catherine mentioning not trusting AMG until they fix the TIE aggressor.
No, that's actually probably fair.
Kestel back in the game. All right. Is it just separatists now?
Yeah, so. We down to my faction, baby.
Cool, go for it, man. You should totally lead this one while I learn more about this faction because I haven't taken a look at them in a while. So go for it.
So we bring up fire sprays to begin with, right? And here's the problem again: should fire sprays ever be cheaper than 7 points? And that's a hard thing to say. Because here's the problem: if you drop Jango from 8 down to 7, you'll never play Boba, which nobody's playing Boba anyway because you just have Jango at 8 points. You know, like
yeah.
And Zam being at 9 is, I think, a misstep. I do not think Zam is that broken, personally.
Everybody just hated her so much. I think that was a community, like a response to the community, and less about if she's actually good or bad at 9 points. I think it's more of a, we really don't want you to play Zam Wessel. That's why she's 9 points.
Well, you can run Zam, Jango, and a bomber, just so you know, with a Shafe Cloud for 20 points.
It's basically a 2-ship list.
No,
it's
a 2-ship list with
list.
The Shafe Cloud at I3.
That says go fuck yourself. 2.10 ship list. Yeah, go for it. Let me know how that goes. I actually challenge you. That should be the list that you play next.
All right. People are gonna hate me. You're gonna make people hate me, Nick. That's what's gonna happen.
What? You're speaking for yourself. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm just like, you said you could do this thing. It seems good. I'm like, well, then do it.
No, it's not that good. I think you need to bring Zam down to 8 points. Personally, if we're being honest, like let's bring Zam down to 8 points. And yes, Zam Notorious 100% is horrible. Nabi, don't disagree. Let's just bring Notorious up to 6-7 points and call it a day. You don't. In Zam world, you don't take Notorious then.
They already had an opportunity to adjust Notorious, and I am so shocked that they didn't.
It's because nobody was playing it. So they're like, oh, nobody's playing it. Nobody will figure this out.
It was on Maul all the time, right? It was like
that was it. Nobody else played it, though. So like all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's really good here. We should all play this. Whatever. Again, it goes back to them thinking they're... Okay, we're going to stop because I'm going to get super anti-AMG here. So here's the problem with this. Like, I think Boba should get more loadout points. I think Jango should come down a little bit. And I think Zam should come down a point so that you take Jango or Zam. Give them the same loadout and take one of the two.
I don't like an I6 fire spray being 2 points cheaper than Boba Fett and Scum fire spray.
It's not. It's 1 point.
Isn't Boba 9?
Boba's 9. Boba Fett.
Yeah, but you want to bring
I3.
Jango.
No.
I'm talking about. Okay, so wait, you don't want to bring Jango down from 8 to 7.
No,
okay,
we said bring Jango. No, I'm saying bring his loadout down. I'm saying Jango's overpowered.
You said bring him down a bit. I thought you were talking about his.
No. Loadout.
Good. I'm like, why are we having a conversation about a 7-point Jango Fett?
No, we're not going to do that. No, because that's broken. No, we're going to take Jango, leave Jango where he's at, but bring his loadout down. And we're going to bring Zam to 8 points and match loadout. So you have similar loadout between each ship. And then you're going to leave Boba at 7. You're going to increase Boba's loadout. So like right now with the way the whole thing is, where the hell is my fire sprays? So Boba has 16 loadout, Jango has 27, and Zam 22. So bring Jango down to 22 at minimum, right? And okay. You could probably actually argue Jango and Zam probably could go down to 18 points, 18 loadout points.
Okay.
And then I say you bring Boba up to the 25. Give me a reason to run an I3 fire spray.
Yeah, give me a reason to run anything I3.
Yep. I will tell you, I have ran Jango, Boba, and Grievous, and Jango, Boba, and Cad, and have had decent success with it. when CAD doesn't die immediately. So like um but
He's the
with
Cad
Grievous he
Bane of
doesn't
your
die.
existence, man.
Exactly. Yeah, I need heroic. Give me heroic
Yeah,
in Separatist.
precisely. All
Um
right, so we can all agree that Zam Wessel should be a 4-point, Fire Spray and Django should go down to 2. Got it. All right, moving on.
you playing with fire here, baby.
Yeah, right. Fire
You
sprays. To be
you
honest,
really playing fire.
fire sprays.
So for the belly rubs, or like I like to call them the Beelzebubs, right? The devils of there. I think Captain Seer is overpriced. Personally,
Oh, isn't he like super expensive? I have to.
he's 5.
Okay, yeah, that's high for sure.
Yeah, for what he does, especially because Seer doesn't have the yeah, are you gonna run Seer or are you gonna run Grievous? I'm gonna run Seer or Grievous.
Yeah.
It's not belly rubs, it's
Well,
Beelzebubs. I like
unfortunately,
calling them Beelzebub.
the faction identity for Separatists has largely shifted away from the swarms like they were supposed to be.
Yes. And I don't like that. I think you can have a swarm if you bring Seer down to 6 or down to 4. I think you do it, and I think give me my Watt. So here,
Oh,
this is
turn
what
down
drives
for
me nuts.
Watt. Turn down for Watt.
I love Watt. Like I was running, I ran Watt at the Crossroads Open and didn't do very well. And that's because
You were
of all
at
the Republic.
Crossroads?
Yeah, I was at Crossroads.
Oh, I was there too.
I know you were. We talked. You didn't. You don't remember me though. That's okay.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
I know you don't, but that's okay. But Watt, the problem I have with Watt, like, is Watt is really good, and I think Watt should get more loadout points. Is all I'm saying. Don't move his price anywhere. Leave him at 4, but give him some loadout points. Let him
7,
actually
that's sad.
work. You know.
Yeah, let my Techno Union boy shine a little bit, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, let's actually, because Watt is my favorite. Just so you know, Watt is my favorite Separatist ship. If we're gonna be impartial, minus the fact that I like Grievous because Grievous is just good. But if we want to talk about actual like favorite ships to run,
Sure.
Watt was fun as hell to run. I ran Watt with a bunch of droids and I ran the stupid ship that allowed you to spend a calculate to get an evade or not.
Oh,
So
sure.
50-50, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so I think that's the thing. Or and you know what, I could be like really ballsy and say, give me some of the Sokoan aces and give them to me at 3 points with no loadout. Like you take Impervium plating and that's it, and give them to me at 3 points.
That Belba Lab spam, that swarm of Belba Labs.
Yep, give it to me. I want to do it. One of these days, I want to do that. Yeah. I could run 5 of them. They're just not good. Like I tried.
So Tanner, you and I agree. Grievous should probably go down to 3. Got it.
Nope. I don't agree with that. Leave Grievous. Grievous is good right where he's at.
I'm just trying to create like incriminating sound bites.
No, I know you are.
Like blackmail you with X-wing sound bites.
This
man believed that Grievous should be 3 points and Jaco should be 4.
Hey, look, I was the person that had thought about raising Vader Defenders points. I've been on the do not raise Vader Defender points since they lowered them to 9. And you can ask everybody at my local. There is an argument every week because they'll be like, guess who didn't win a tournament this week? And they'll be like, go shut the fuck up, Chris. Like, because nobody wants to hear the fact. Yeah. Everybody's like, screw you, Chris. All right, so let's talk about Tri-Fighter. Because nobody plays them. Nobody plays them.
But they shouldn't be cheaper than 4, though, right? Like, should they be 3 points?
Yes. Yep.
What? I don't know about that.
Man, they're not good at 4.
I'm gonna break my if actually it doesn't matter because it's not FFG anymore. But when I play tested Tri-Fighters, man, when they had 4 hull, wild. That shit was wild. It was so impressive. 4 hull Tri-Fighters was crazy.
Yeah, I agree with you, but at the exact same time, like they still pop though, because you didn't have the meta. But you're in a different meta now. You for a turn. If you shoot a Tri-Fighter with a proton torpedo, guess who's going to die that round? Bye.
Yeah.
Yep. It's gone. In the old meta, I agree with you. Like, I don't disagree with you in the old meta. Like, if we go back to 2.0, Tri-Fighters were probably closer to being appropriately priced than they are now. They're just overpriced. And they're a bad ship in this faction. They just are. Like, somebody said, here, have a shitty AC ship that can do nothing and...
Well, it's like the
just
same
dies.
treatment as the tie interceptors get, really. I mean, and tie interceptors can focus and double reposition. So, but
Yeah,
their dial, man, I still love their dial. I think it's so cool.
it
The
is.
one Talon rolls, the 2 hard, 3 hards are blue. It's pretty sweet.
I've ran 5 Tri-Fighters before because I own 5 of them.
Good for you.
Very sadly. Because I playtested 2 and we got free ships, and when we got free ships, I chose a Tri-Fighter, but I had already, by the time it came, I already had bought like 3 of them.
Yeah.
And then my son gave me one for
You know
my
what's really
birthday.
sad, Tanner? My name is misspelled in playtesting credit.
Oh, is it?
It's really sad because I can't really show people that I'm in it because it's spelled incorrectly. It's kind of like defeats the purpose of wanting to show somebody. It's like kind of lame. Like that's supposed to be me. Sucks. Yeah. Should call them and be like, hey,
Yeah, they'll
you
issue
guys
a
know how to
recall.
print anything. Yeah, they better. They better. The Nick Sperry recall. So
All right.
that's what they'll call it.
Let's talk about Sith infiltrators here.
Yes.
Because I just like this is the awkward price ship in Separatists. Like of everything other than a Tri-Fighter, this is
Oh
the
my gosh, why is Dooku 7 points?
I
Make
don't
this
know.
man 6 points. He's 2 points more expensive than Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. Why is Maul 8 points? Like, it doesn't matter if Maul can double tap, Maul's gonna die. You're gonna kill Maul. It's not even a question. It's just like, oh, Maul's got hate. Yep, he could double tap 2 turns and then he's dead. He's just gone. He's done. He's not a fire spray for
And
fuck's
if you
sake.
kill an 8-point ship, you probably won the game. Like
Yeah.
you
Like-
almost like certainly win that game.
Yeah. Are you going to take an infiltrator or a gauntlet, Chris? I'm going to take a gauntlet. No questions asked. You want Bo-Katan? Yep, I'm going to take Bo-Katan every time. Like, not ever going to take
I
Maul.
think we need to make 066 great again. Make 066 at 5 points.
Yes!
And with like 22
Yes!
loadout points.
Yes.
Give him like
Yes.
Kraken, give him all the bells and whistles and send him out there. Yeah.
Yes, give it to me. I own 3 of these fuckers.
Yeah.
So
I used to play 066, 2 Tri-Fighters and Grievous in the like end of 2.0 days. That was fun. It wasn't great, but it was fun because like the Tri-Fighters could calculate evade. Grievous would just flank, and then 066 had, you know, he had enough stuff on him to make him fun. It was a fun list.
yeah, I think the problem with Dooku is he's an I3. I think if he was an I5, okay, we could talk about 7 points, but an
Yeah,
I3.
and his ability is so contingent on people acknowledging it and like making it happen.
Yep.
It's like one of the reasons why I had struggle with Kanan is because people would just opt out of letting me use him and just shoot at him. It's like, well, shit. And it's the opposite issue with Dooku is that you just shoot at everyone else and he doesn't get to decloak or anything like that.
Yeah. So I'm going to go on record and say I think Vultures and Hyena Bombers are probably accurately priced, and we're going to just leave it at that. Like, because I don't really think that there's much you can change with those.
Yeah.
Because I can run 8 ships if I want to run like a shit list, but I can run 8 ships with them. So
yeah,
it can happen. Nantex are kind of your next one, and I hate Nantex just because of that Nantex meta we had. But like, I really think Sunfac is overpriced. I just like, and where's Nabi? Nabi's gonna come in and say, "Chris,
get
you're
fact,
wrong."
man. It's time to get fact. Show me the Carfac. So he's 6 right now. There's another one that's 6 right now. There's Churtech is 5.
Yep, Churtech is 5.
It's tough because the Sunfac can still, I don't know. I think 5 points opens the door. So like we can't even wrap our heads around what potentially could be opened up at him being 5 points. However, I will see the point that the Nantex is just bad with the current meta, and a single proton torpedo hits him, and he's going to be pretty sad if not dead. So, but it's kind of hard to price on hypotheticals, right? Right? Like I don't know. I think they just don't want him to get played.
I think they don't want any of these Nantex to get played. I think they were scared because of the Nantex meta, where FFG did, in fairness, make a big mistake. Like big. You know, that was a mistake.
Huge. Yeah, for sure.
You know why we joined playtesting? Was because of the Nantex meta. Whether we were going to quit X-Wing or not. Like a buddy of mine was like, you want to playtest? I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't care. And he's like, well, it's bullshit about the Nantex. All right. Fair enough. All right. Whatever.
It was a rallying call, and the crusade began that day.
Yeah, and it did. And as soon as we joined the servers, they were like, oh, by the way, Nantex are going to go up in points. Here's the suggested points. And we're like, oh, we just immediately learned that they were going to go up in points. So what do we care? Like, you know, like, play it now, baby. You know, like I only
Yeah.
own, like it was funny because I only own one because of Sun
I
Fact,
just
right?
have one. Yeah, of course.
And then I bought 2 more because I found them on sale. And then my buddy's like, "You're just trying to build a 6 Nantex list," and I'm like, "Dude, it's not gonna last. I'm telling you right now, it's not gonna last." I did not do that. I did it because I like to own lots of ships, and I'm a X-wing whore, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's tough not to be if you love X-wing as much as we do. Yeah, I'm not even bothered to look at the rest of them because they just 4 points, whatever, right? That's just fine.
They're same with HMPs. Like, there's no real reason to change a bunch of the prices. Like, it would be nice if the G notions would go down to 4, but because I don't think they're that oppressive. But again, I understand why. Like, right now, you can run 5 or 4 G notions, and should we be able to run 5 of them? No, like just no. The answer is no. So if anybody had thought you should ever run 5 of those things, the answer is still no, because they are too oppressive at 5, and they're not good enough at 4. So, especially in this meta.
Yep, I agree with that.
So multi-missile pods are fun. Just saying.
Oh, wow! You're the first person to use them.
Okay, but I think they're fun. I like to run them.
You're like probably one of 3 people.
Yeah.
Like, I used to get so much shit for using R5 on Luke, like R5D8 and R5. Like, you and that goddamn R5, I'm like, it's kept me alive.
Yeah, it's fun, right? It's a fun mechanic. You know, you can run multi-missile pods on lats too.
Yeah, that's what they're meant for, the lats, kind of like the artwork, and it came with the lat, and they tried to give the lats an attack capability that brutally failed because the multi-missile pods is just like not that great.
They're horrible. They're like the worst missile in.
Yeah, but there's multi-missiles and they have pods.
And you're gonna spend 3 charges in one.
Like so many charges, like the same charges as barrage rockets. We have to spend like all of your charges in one attack.
Yeah, it's not good. It's fun though. I will tell you, it's fun. I like it. I like running fun lists sometimes. So
yeah, it's a hot take. Tanner's hot take. Having fun is more important than not having fun.
It is when you're not trying to win a world tournament, and the best is going to be if AMG does.
Hey man, Han Job was a fun time.
Yeah, if AMG actually admits that they're not going to care about worlds invites, other than they're going to be, like tell you that you get a buy, I'm going to stop running competitive lists in anything. I'm only going to run fun things.
So you're saying that worlds would just be an open event that anyone could play in? Yeah,
if that's the case, from here to worlds, I'm running whatever the hell I want.
I think they are probably worried about turnout, and they want to try to get as many people to show up as possible.
That's what I told you. I told you the rumor on Reddit was that the beginning of the show, going back to the beginning of the show.
You read it on Reddit.
I read it on Reddit. I don't believe it, but yeah, I kind of believe it a little bit.
Yeah, we'll see. Did you want to talk about the rogue class? I feel like the last one you could talk about is the rogue class. I don't think there's anything else to really talk about.
So the answer is I don't want to. I do and I don't. Okay, I think all of them are overpriced, but I don't think you can lower any of them, because if you lower those Magna Guards down to 4 and people get extra green dice, guess who's gonna like? Do you want to take a Magna Guard droid over 2 Separatist droids? Yes, I will, because they will last more than 1 turn. Okay. Yep, gonna do that. Are you gonna take out 2 ships worth of 4? Does anybody kill 4 ships in 1 turn? No.
Can we talk about how good IG-101's ability is, though? At the start of the system phase, you may repair 1 face-up damage card. I mean, that's pretty freaking good, man. That's wild how good. That's so good.
It's slept on. Nobody runs that.
Oh, I was kind of joking. I mean, it's not bad. It's like, why would you put that in your? It's like probably a 5-hole ship like that is probably close to dead anyways. It's on like 1 or 2 hole by the time that it would want to repair a damage card.
So the answer is actually not as bad as you think it is. But
5 points.
Ooh. But what happens is everybody, 5 points. What happens is everybody either focuses on it or ignores it, so its ability is mute. Like, just so you know, like that's actually what happens. I've ran that shit before, and that's literally what happens. Somebody will be like, "Oh, you get to repair cards."
Oh, you cut out.
Oh, did I cut out? Sorry. Everybody goes. Yeah, everybody goes. Oh, you're gonna repair cards? I'm not gonna shoot at this shit. And then, like, it doesn't do a lot of damage.
It's like
yep. And then everybody goes, "Oh, you can repair cards? We're gonna focus fire on it." oh, and Grievous is over in the corner over here, so we don't even have to worry about that. That's what
It's
happens.
only one card too. It's like if you have like, it's just like, all right, I'll fix my whole breach, and then it'll be like, oh, but if I get shot at, I die. It's
Yeah.
like, I'm glad I fixed that whole breach because it didn't matter.
Exactly. What they need is a card that, like a title card that allows them to do what the IGs and Scum does and share abilities. That's what they need.
Yeah.
You do that,
Or just let them have
I run
advanced
them.
droid brain too, right? They can't take double calcs. Yeah,
They
can't take
can.
double calc.
Yeah, they can.
How?
You
Oh,
can
with
put
independent.
independence.
No,
on
but
them.
like they should have advanced droid brain because the IGs had advanced droid brain.
Oh
which is
yes,
just, like, 2 calcs.
yes. If you did that, that would fix that. I mean, they can get double calcs now.
Yeah, but with first stress, right? Which is how
Yep.
great is their dial? It's not great. It's
No, it's
one,
good. No, it's good.
eh.
Their dial is you can go bank.
I'm just surprised they don't have the double calc ability naturally baked
Yes.
in since they're IGs. So
Nope. I agree with you. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with that aspect of it, you
Yeah.
know. And they are overcosted. If you brought them down to 4 points, I would run them, actually. I would actually run 2 or 3 of those. Or if I would leave them at 5 and give me the shared ability and the double, brain calc, okay, no problem. I would 100% do that immediately. So
would you say it's worth buying a pack of these?
yes, actually,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
It's, again, if you're trying to be competitive, I still think Cad Bane in Separatist is decently competitive if you play him right. I think it's a difference in how you play him, right? I think you go back to, we talk about tractor tokens. I think that's what people are sleeping on is your Cad Bane should be a tractor token magnet.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is because they're going to try to kill the droids. And so if you're behind the droids here, right? And you got droids in front of you and they go, well, it's a range 3 to shoot at you. Plus you have a focus. Are they going to, do you want to shoot at Cad Bane with a focus? Probably not. Or an evade. You could have an evade too, right? And then all of a sudden you're going to get an action when they kill one of the droids in front of you. And that is really good, right? Like, that's actually really good. Like, Cad Bane in Separatist ability is decent, is really, really, really good. Mm-hmm. But you have to fly him completely different than every other faction. That's the wrong Cad Bane. You have to just fly him so much differently. And that's the problem is nobody's flying him like that.
And he's I4. He could just get initiative killed or die pretty easily, right? Because that stat line's not very good. I mean,
no,
I
it's
know
not.
that you can give him extra attack die, you give him a cannon or a missile or whatever he can take.
No.
Torpedo, but
you can run with the 2 Magnet droids, which I have done, and it's okay because Cad Bane then gets 3 or 4 green dice, and with the focus or evade is great. The problem is because that price ratio, right? So you have to run them with 1, and that's 10 points, and then you run 5 droids and hope somebody kills the droids before these 2 things.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is like the tractor piece on him is the piece that people are missing, right? You're missing the fact that I can run a tractor beam and an ion cannon. I can run both, and then that gives me that option. And if you're giving me a target lock because you're killing one of my droids, plus I have a focus or an evade, I'm really kind of golden. But the majority of the time, at 5 points, you're just getting murdered. Like in a smaller list, like with Jango, and like I ran Jango, Boba, Cad, and everybody kills Cad first every time.
Yeah, he's the easiest to kill. Yeah.
Yep. They're like, yep, see you, have a nice fucking time. So like Cad only works in semi-swarm lists. That's it.
Yeah.
And you can run Cad, Grievous, and 5 droids. And that's fun. But again, it's all in how you set the list up. You have to basically, Cad has to kind of sit behind all the droids and just kind of go back and forth. That's what Cad has to do. Because Cad relies on the fact that somebody else is going to die for him. I don't know, isn't that like a military thing? That's what it feels like.
Yeah. Oh, just like where you are in the ranks and where you are in the front lines. It's like, you guys
you're gonna die for me. You're gonna die for me.
Thanks for dying for me.
Yep.
Sacrifice will not be in vain. Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you again, when Cad gets his ability, how about this? I hit a rock with Cad. And if you have a stress, you're screwed, right? But if you hit a rock with Cad and somebody kills another ship, you can barrel roll off the rock with Cad. Sure. By the way,
please kill my ship. Please kill my ship.
And it happened to me. That happened. Somebody killed another ship, and Cad got to barrel roll and got a shot. We didn't win the game.
Yeah.
I still lost.
Still lost.
But it was pretty fucking cool. I'm just gonna put it there. Like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, people were like, "Oh shit, your Cad can shoot now." Yep. Sucks to be you, baby.
In all honesty, with the lack of store level kits, etc., it should be there just hasn't been enough OP support. I mean, don't get me started on how much they've dropped the ball on that. Community events are taking are kind of blowing them out of the water, honestly, right now with support. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Like, I don't know how I feel. I think people with Worlds invites should feel a little bit more special than a buy, though, is kind of the way I see it. Like, they earned it, and they've had to wait a long time. So,
yes and no. I don't know. We'll talk about. I think we'll talk about that on another show. Nabi, you're right. I will agree with you, Nabi, that that's the problem. And like, how about this? There is so little support from AMG in terms of kits. I found a guy in Europe that Staniszewski from GSP used that is providing this amazing kit to me for like $100 plus shipping.
Lewis Long?
Yes. I don't know. It's a really cool kit.
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian themes with the Sabine cards. And...
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I got some extra stuff from a friend, Michael, in New Jersey. He has his own group and been able to give away some of those amazing Mandalorian cards and everything. It's really cool. It's got amazing stuff.
Yeah, so I think that's the big thing here is that because of that, like we are kind of stuck. And like how about this? I'm gonna put it this way, and so I guess Nick, you're from GSP, so I'll just be a dick and challenge you the same way I would challenge Dion if he ever wanted to show up on my stream. Would be the same thing as like if Worlds becomes such this inclusive piece of crap thing, who the hell's gonna create a Worlds for the rest of us? That's all I gotta say, right? Like. And I'm gonna be frank and say we don't make it. There's not enough money in X-Wing that if we don't provide to the community that can't make it to Worlds, you're gonna kill the show, or not the show, not my show. You're gonna kill the game. That's what's gonna happen. You're gonna kill it. People are not going to be involved in this, and unless we can evolve our community, which is what I want to talk about tonight, but we took way too long going through stuff. So I'm not going to keep Nick here for 5 hours.
What does it have to do with GSP though? Sorry, I'm trying to understand the.
Well, I'm saying, well, what does that do with GSP? So all I'm saying is you could go back to Dion and maybe put a little bug in his ear that if AMG decides to be a dick about like Worlds and basically say we're going to have 50 people at Worlds, that Dion can be like, well, hey, we're at Adepticon anywhere. We're going to run 1 million events that make it worthwhile for the rest of us who didn't go to Worlds to come to Adepticon anyway and actually have our own Worlds. Right.
Not be mentioned, Dion is still doing Galaxies, which is kind of his own version of Worlds.
Yes.
He started during the pandemic. He's still doing it this year. I don't know if he'll continue to do it, but it's kind of, let the X-Wing and GSP community thrive. So, props to him for pushing that. But I think, Dion recognizes the importance of getting more people to play the game. So, I'm not going to speak for him, but I do know that about him and that he wants as many people to be a part of his and the community at large as possible. So it's just such a big deal that I would be so, as much as we've criticized AMG, I would be really, 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 really surprised that after them adding all of these different ways you could make it to Worlds, them only having a exclusive 40 or 50 player event. It wouldn't make any sense. Just
it'd be silly.
It's crunch time for them to start making money. They've made some massive changes. They've seen some players leave. They've seen a lot of uncertainty, and the OP kits need to be fixed up and shipped out. And there's all these things they have to prove themselves. And I think they're going to try to get as many people involved for Worlds so that they can do that. Because otherwise, then they just kill the game voluntarily. And I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're at least not going to try to kill the game voluntarily. I know we have our hot takes about AMG. I think they've made a lot of mistakes that they need to fix, but they also they have a lot of responsibility on their hands, on their shoulders, with Asmodee expecting them to make this game some money. They wouldn't kill it right away, at least not on purpose.
I agree with you. I just like to call people out. And I think Dion's a great guy. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I really do think GSP did a really good job. Like, we toted their Adepticon experience. Like, as much as, like we talk about like different like entities and things like that, I think Dion came to the table for that. And I personally don't feel he would let Adepticon go the way of the dinosaur for that. Like, I just don't see it. Especially because it's in his neighborhood,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, it's I get to, because of Dion and the GSP community, I get to, I get to enjoy my life, and I make a little bit of a living working with GSP, and so I am forever grateful for that. And at the same time, it's he has a huge burden of kind of having to navigate the uncertainties of it's like we're in no man's land. I feel like with X-Wing, even though we have a structure, it still feels like a game that's kind of being slapped together, and it's kind of confusing and weird at times. He's doing his best to keep the positive energy, and I as someone who's very pessimistic, I do appreciate that he's the one that kind of totes that flag, because if he's not going to do it, then I think we're in bad shape. Like there's a lot of people that are not motivated. So
no, and I agree with you, and I think the big thing comes down to, like, when I left Destiny, right? Like they didn't have the network that Dion has created, right? Let's just say it. Like Dion has created during the pandemic, Dion created a network that will allow the game to thrive longer than like what
they're very lucky to have him, man. It's free publicity for a game that isn't huge. And I mean, they recognize that value. They gave him the internet connection needed to stream at Gen Con. They relied on him to help out at Adepticon. I think they're finally, something FFG wasn't great at doing, realizing that Dion is actually going to push it and influence the game well beyond what they're capable of, because they're just so incapable of communicating. So
no. I agree, and I love Dion. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think GSP is great. Personally, so I'm not happy with their 4-1 decisions. But other than that, like, that's a whole different topic that we already talked about. We're not going to cover that tonight. So, well, we were going to talk about community building, but I guess we'll have to have you back on, Nick, to actually talk about community building, since we never got around to that. And
it's probably good to table it, because we don't know what's going to happen with TTO, right? So maybe when we have a better idea, we can revisit.
Yep. And I think, especially at an almost 3-hour show, I think you have officially eclipsed every other host that I've ever had on here.
Really? Has it been that long?
We've been on since a little after 9. It's almost 3 hours. So you officially win the title of longest fucking guest host we've had.
Yes, thank you. I'm happy to tout the title.
So, anyway, thank you all who have stuck around this long to talk about points changes. I feel it was necessary, though. Because I think now we could just kind of move on. Like, if they don't make the changes, they don't make the changes. And we made suggestions, and we could just kind of move on with what we want to do. And as we talked about many a times, like, the idea behind how do we have fun playing the game, right? Like, Nick and I talked about many different ships that are fun to play. If they were a little bit cheaper, it'd be even funner. But I still think you could fly them. And I have a 4-ship FO list with Von Reg in it that I love. I love Von Reg. He's my between him and Soontir, they're my favorite ships to fly.
Oh God, I love Soontir. Merrick Steele too. I've been enjoying playing him.
All right, I'm gonna have to put him on the table too. I don't know.
Yeah, give him a coordinator. He's really strong.
Awesome. All right. With that being said, thank you all for joining us. We will be back next week, Sunday night, 9 p.m. We're going to be covering all the different tournaments that are happening next weekend. I know GSP has a tournament, so we'll be looking at the statistics for that. Are you playing next weekend, Nick, or no?
No, I'm not. That's one of the Galaxy events, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't do online tournaments. The only one I've ever done was the Jank Tank league tournament that Greg put together for Nickel City. I just can't sit at my computer for that long. I already do it so much for work. It's just too much for me.
All right. Well, either which way, next week, that's what we'll be covering. Is that JJ will either be back next week, or depending on how his move goes, he won't. So it might just be me. But either which way, we will be covering all of the different results from the list. And then the week after that, we will be starting our discussion on the different scenarios and what is the most profitable or fun way to win each one. With that being said, if you don't know who 312 Squadron is, go over, give them a like on the Facebook page, go over, join their Discord, and join their league for the next season that they have coming out here in the next couple of months. Yo.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Tanner. Appreciate that. 312.
312, baby. Almost as good as 616, but, we don't have a 616 league. Maybe I should rename the podcast to 616. There you go.
I like Planning Phase Syndicate. That's a cool name. It's it sounds like almost like a really cool Star Wars cult,
We might be. We might be our own little syndicate. Thank you so much for joining us, Nick. Again, make sure you check them out. They stream every Sunday night and possibly on Fridays.
starting beginning
4th.
September. Yes, thank you.
Yes, and I will be playing September 4th on their stream. So then afterwards, you can come watch our show. So there you go.
Sweet.
There you go. All right.
Love it.
Have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next week, 9 p.m. East. Oh shit! I forgot. We're gonna stream Wednesday. That's right. Nick is gonna play his Construct the Death Star list against Lou on Wednesday night. I don't know what time, so it'll probably be like 8:30. There you go. We'll just say 8:30 because
that's right. I totally forgot about that too for a second.
Yep. So we are gonna actually stream a game because XCC isn't happening. So we're gonna stream a game Wednesday night. Lou versus Nick. Come watch them.
It's Pim, isn't it? It's Lou.
Is it Pim? Yeah. It's
whoever
Pim.
was on, it was Pim. Yeah.
I don't know. I smoke a lot of pot, so it's Pim. There you go. I probably shouldn't say that.
Clip that.
But
clip that. Yeah.
well, it doesn't matter. I'm in Michigan. It's legal, so I don't care. That's why I'm not as good as X-Wing as Nick is. There you go. Because I smoke too much pot.
I don't smoke, so there you go.
All right. Anyway, we will be back Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, or 8:30 p.m. Eastern time with Nick and Pim, and then we'll be back next week Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern with another Planning Phase Syndicate episode. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.